Sir, you're charged with especially aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the recovery addict, and boy do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy there.
Got the wrong guy. The dog was biting him.
He roughing him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
Nine out of 10 judges prefer watching the Recovery Addict live stream in their courtroom.
The fireworks are not done.
Now we're getting commentary on the case. Dati mihi Anglican por his servants Latinos.
All right, I think I'm ready. I'm fully hydrated, ready to go, which is important today. It's important because I'm going to do a lot of talking, unfortunately. Welcome. Happy Thursday. Good to have you here. No court today. No court today in the Letecia Stauch trial. They have every Friday off. The judge has another regularly scheduled court session that occurs every Thursday. And so they've actually had to take everything from the courtroom and sort of lock it up and clear off the tables and get rid of the jurors' notepads and everything. They've cleaned out the whole courtroom so they can do what they regularly do every Thursday. And they'll have to do this every Thursday from now through the end of the trial. And so we're gonna go ahead and let them do what they do on Thursday. They will be back tomorrow. They will be on Good Friday. They will be holding court, and we will be there to follow along as well and carry that live. So, but today, what we want to do first of all, before everything else, is thank Lee. Lee, thank you very much. My stuff's all over the place. From let's see. Let's run this to A. There we go. And this one has to change just a little bit as well. Okay, we're trying to get everything back where it goes. We've moved things for the WebEx presentation from court. Lee, first in chat today. Congratulations, you are the winner of everything IP related. The internet, my friend, is all yours. To do with as you please. Thank you very much for being first in chat. I think you're a repeat offender as well. I think you've won before, quite recently, I think, if I remember right. Followed closely by Shells and Sharon McDonald. Good to have you all here. As everyone looks like you're filing in, please take your seats. Wonderful. Everyone come in, sit down. Story time is about to begin, but it's not my story. It's going to be Letecia's story. It's going to be a good one too. Let's see. I've got it over here on this other window. There it works. Okay. All right. I'm not sure if we want to do a roll call or just go ahead. I'll do a shout out to JB. How about that, Sharon? I got the shout out to JB this morning. Hope you're doing great up there in the frozen north. Lee's in charge. Let me just check and see if there's anything. Heather, dang it, didn't win the internet today. Close. Heather, you're really close. Keep trying. It can happen. This particular court takes Thursday off. Yes. We're reading the affidavit today. Yes, I was reading it last night and this morning. It's Mary Kay's birthday. It's Mary Kay. Mary Kay, where are you at? Stand up. Today is my birthday. There it is. Okay, so we have the birthday music we'll play. But first, is there anyone else who has a birthday today? Anyone else that we can play a little background music for? Let's see. I don't see anyone else. So why is the audio so quiet? Okay, we fixed it. It's loud again. Yes, the party noise is on. I have to turn it off. I keep forgetting. So you got moments before I turn it off here. If you're quick, you'll get a quick party horn in before I shut it down. Shrink this. Commands. There it is. Hang on. That was 3 at once, I think. This commands. 5 more just came in as I click the button. Okay, it stopped. That was I think 7 party horns simultaneously.
I was kicked back,
Sounded
taking
good.
it easy.
All right, if it's your birthday, Mary Kay, and I don't see anyone else owning up to the fact that they are also getting older today, we're just going to start the music for you. Good morning, everyone. Hit that like button, please. Buttercup says hello. Welcome, Rebecca. Good to have you here. Mary Kay, front row, birthday girl today.
Alex stole it.
I think that's it. Yep. Good first morning as a member, Mammy P. Good to have you here. Welcome. Yes, we're gonna get ready. Sharon, we just have Mary Kay is all I know of having a birthday this morning. But if anyone else does, happy birthday to you as well. But we are going to begin. I'm scrambling, making sure that we don't have anyone. My birthday was March 24th. Kim, my birthday is March 24th. Happy birthday to you. We just barely celebrated. We're all mad here. It's my birthday too. Awesome. We're all mad here and Mary Kay. Happy birthday to both of you. Awesome. I never see you. We're all mad here. I see you now. I see you. I apologize. I'm a little behind everything. Kathy says, wow, we don't show up for a few days and Recovery Addicts at 11K subscribers. Congrats, my friend. Not only, Kathy, we hit 11K yesterday, I also hit my 1 millionth view. 1 millionth view and 11K happened in the same stream, which was just awesome. Never, ever in my wildest dreams did I think this would happen. I think that's all the birthdays. I think we just have those 2. Dog Arthur is 2-year-old today. We'll include Arthur in there as well. Where can we send me gifts? You can send gifts to other people who want a membership and maybe isn't in their budget at the time. Is that what you're talking about? Or are you talking about like actually send me like we got the pickle and the judge costume gifts? There is a P.O. box if you absolutely have to send me something. That's an option as well. It probably will end up with my kids, although I've kept the pickle. The kids are wearing the judge outfit from yesterday. They're currently running around the house with that on. It's awesome. Okay, we're good. All right, let's get down to business, as the song is just going to expire here, and there we go. Song's done. It's interesting ending. All right, the Let's see. Let me pull this up on my screen so I can see. I'm going to read. Do you want to see me as I read like this? So it's real story time, or do you want to see my back? Those are your options. I think I can set this up a little differently. Let me change this one to be camera 4. There we go. So we've got the behind the scenes happening over there, and the main scene happening right here. It's your unbirthday, KF7AIK. Bob, good to have you here. 6 months away. That means it's your birthday in 6 months. Have I worked in radio before? I have not, William. Although I dabbled a little bit in school. We had a radio station at my university, and I took some classes in there. Did I check my email? Yes, Amber, you sent me a timeline for this case, which is great. We're going to go through the affidavit today. Maybe we'll pull up the timeline here at a future point, but it's going to start making sense. First, we're going to get all the data from the affidavit and go from there. I think we're good. Using my new mug, objection overruled grounds. Anna, awesome, love it. My mug is almost empty. That's Samantha. Happy birthday to your oldest brother, Ryan. And MCAT, thank you for gifting a membership. That went to Samantha. It went to Samantha for her brother's birthday. So, Samantha, for your birthday, MCAT got you a membership to the channel. I'm sure Ryan will appreciate that. That's awesome. I thank you, William. I don't know why I'm professional. I really feel like I just bumble along and stumble from sentence to sentence. But Tracy Stevens, how do you get permission from the court to show the court coverage live? This particular one, every court is different, first of all, so you have to do the research on every single trial. But this particular court, the judge gave an expanded media coverage order, order number 28, which gave permission to people who can access the WebEx of the court proceedings, which is like connecting to the court. It's almost like a Zoom connection to the court. I'm muted, so they can't hear me. They can't see my video or anything like that. It's just I'm a participant as a listener only and a viewer only. And that specific order allows me to rebroadcast all of the audio and video from that WebEx, as long as I don't show two things. I don't show the jurors, and I don't show the sidebars. So we have to do a little work on the sidebars. I realize other channels are showing some of the sidebars. I'm trying very hard to not do that. And we also realized that the court went out of its way and showed the jury in a split-second moment and we're live. We can't go back and unshow the jury. The court did briefly flash the jury on the screen. But other than that, we're trying our best to comply with the judge's orders. Is it time for water? It is. My mug is empty, so we're going to fill up here right now. So here's your warning. Turn down your audio if needed. All right.
Are we going to address subject matter jurisdiction?
Yeah, we'll take care of all the important things. I will mind the laptop today. I did not. I think my mouse pad is all dried out. Everything's dried out from yesterday's spill. 6-volt bus with your 3-month membership. It says Radio, Peace Bird, sorry. Spicy Maple Bourbon Pickles on fire with the 11,000 subs. Mike and Mike drop. Thank you, 6-volt bus. Appreciate it. I appreciate the emails you sent me about the networking as well. That's helpful. Do you think this judge always allows questions from the jury in all his cases? Kitty kitty bang bang. I think that may be a Colorado thing. If I remember correctly, there was a reference to a Colorado Supreme Court decision that sort of encouraged this type of process in Colorado. So it's specific to the state. I'll have to find out for sure if that's the case. But every judge sort of runs their courtroom just a little bit differently. The jury shots were when we had a split screen, and it was in one of the smaller windows, and it was zoomed out off to the side. So going back and looking at it, you couldn't identify anybody. You could just tell that that's where the jury was seated. We had an earthquake this morning. Woke up after the fact. I'm terrified of them. I'm glad you slept through it, Debbie. I'm glad you're safe. It's a Colorado requirement. Thank you, Dara Z. Good to know. Let's dig right in. We're going to dig right in. Do you want to read along with me in case I make a mistake? Do you want it on the screen, or do you want just me to read to you? And some people want to read along and catch my mistakes and call me out. Yes, you want to read along? Okay, so give me a second here. Let me get this set up. We'll put this. I'll be back in this box right down here. All right, so this is a redacted. It's not very much redacted. A couple of the images are redacted, and a little bit about the cell phone data is redacted. But I think that's about it. Nana Sue, there is no court today. Every Thursday, this court has some other court work scheduled. And so they clear out the courtroom and take care of that work every Thursday. I'm not sure what it is, but apparently this judge is the only one that can do it. And so we have to just wait. There are some other states that do allow courts, attorneys. Attorneys usually get to ask the questions, but the jury to ask a question as well. One thing I can tell you all is that weed is not the best medicine for a bee sting. According to a friend, right? 3 earthquakes in all. Crazy. All right, let's get started. We've waited long enough. I'm going to turn the sounds down a little bit. And there's some crazy stuff in here. It's bizarre. We're going to go through it. I'll stop, and I won't be like following the questions closely, the chat. So we're going to be covering the arrest affidavit for Letecia Stauch. That's what we're going to read today, and it's long. It's 32 pages long. Buckle up. You guys, all of you who said I could listen to him read the dictionary, today's your day. We're practically going to be reading the dictionary today. It's a wild one. It's long, and here we go. All right, this is attachment A. Basically, this is all the important stuff. Okay. The following affidavit, I need it big on my screen here so I don't go blind. Let's do program. There we go. The following affidavit is submitted to the court to document the probable cause in support of a request for the issuance of arrest warrant for Stauch Letecia, with her date of birth and Social Security blanked. The offense is fully documented in the El Paso County Sheriff's Office Offense Report 2013-82, detailing the offenses listed in the paragraph 2 below in paragraph 2, with the victim identified as Gannon Stauch. Your affidavit is Jessica Bethel. This is the person who's asking for the request for the arrest warrant, a duly sworn and state-certified police officer and detective in the El Paso County Sheriff's Office, who has been employed as such since 2010. Your affiant has participated in other law enforcement investigations. This is her background, including homicide investigations, child abuse, weapons violations, assaults, and other violations of Colorado revised statutes. I'm familiar with social media networks and electronic methods of communication. I've attended a 1-week crime scene analysis training course through the Colorado Bureau of Investigation. I've also relied on other investigators from outside agencies with more investigative training and experience, including, but not limited to, the FBI Special Agent Andrew Cohen and FBI Special Agent David Donati. Your affiant submits the following facts to demonstrate probable cause to believe that on or about January 27th, 2020, in the county of El Paso in the state of Colorado, the defendant Letecia Stauch, also known as Letecia Hardin, did commit the following offenses herein referred to as violations: murder in the first degree of a child under 12 by someone in a position of trust, child abuse resulting in death, tampering with a deceased human body, and tampering with physical evidence. This affidavit is being submitted to support the issuance of an arrest warrant for the violations. The facts in this affidavit come from my personal observations, my training and experience, and information obtained from other agents, law enforcement officials, and witnesses. The contents of this affidavit were derived by reading reports, viewing evidence, and provided to me by other EPSO, El Paso Sheriff's Office, investigators, and special agents of the FBI. Much of this affidavit is prepared by FBI Special Agent Cohen, but I have reviewed the below facts carefully and have no reason to doubt any investigator's accuracy or truthfulness in their reports. This affidavit is intended to show merely that there is sufficient probable cause for the requested warrant and does not set forth all of my knowledge about this matter. In summary, and as will be set forth below, probable cause exists to issue an arrest warrant for Letecia Stauch for the violations. The vast array of investigative techniques in this investigation has produced a voluminous account of evidence in support of the requested warrant. Investigators have executed physical search warrants and collected evidence from vehicles associated with Letecia, cellular devices utilized by Letecia, and from the residence of Letecia. Electronic search warrants have also been executed to entities including but not limited to Facebook, Apple Incorporated, Google Incorporated, AT&T Wireless, Verizon Wireless, ADT Security Systems, Tile, Life360, Yahoo, and Ring Doorbell Service. Some of the physical evidence has been examined by a laboratory for DNA profiles. Investigators also recovered a significant amount of exterior video footage from individual privately owned neighborhood security cameras, businesses around Colorado Springs, Colorado, and cameras in other surrounding areas. Some cameras provided recorded footage of the exterior of the Stauch residence. Historical cellular records and cell data site details were analyzed and redacted. Some, but not all, of the available photos and other evidence collected from the aforementioned search warrants and other investigative steps are included below and are not meant to represent all the evidence available. Furthermore, there has been no intentional exclusion of photos that could be deemed exculpatory in nature. The information contained in this affidavit can be found in EPSO Case Report 201382. Facts in support of probable cause. The Stauch family and general information. The Stauch family is am I saying Stauch or Stauch? I've said it so many times I don't know anymore. Is it Stauch? Okay. The Stauch family is a blended family, and all will be discussed at various points below. This representation purposely has little details in order to give an overview of the family structure. The father is Eugene Al Stauch. The stepmother is Letecia Stauch. Daughter is Harley Hunt. She's a minor at 17 years of age. She's by blood to Letecia, not to Al. Son, Gannon Stauch, is a minor, 11 years of age, by blood to Al, not to Letecia. And daughter, Lena Stauch, is a minor, 8 years of age, by blood to Al, not to Letecia. So two children that were blood to Al, one to Letecia in this family. The following vehicles will be discussed at various points below. Red Nissan Frontier, Mr. Stauch's main vehicle. Black Volkswagen Tiguan, Letecia's main vehicle. White Volkswagen Jetta, Harley's main vehicle. Silver Nissan Altima, a rental car obtained by Letecia's aunt, Brenda Ackard, and utilized by Letecia from January 30th to February 1st, after her Tiguan was seized by the El Paso Sheriff's Office on January 29th. A white Kia Rio, a rental car obtained and utilized by Letecia on January 28th and 29th, 2020. Background of those mentioned in this affidavit. Letecia, gives her a date of birth, is the last person known to investigators to see 11-year-old Gannon Stauch. Date of birth, and he was, that's his date of birth, alive. Letecia is Gannon's stepmother and was Gannon's only known adult supervision in the days preceding and on the day of his murder. At the time of Gannon's murder, Letecia was employed by the School District 20 as an assistant teacher, although I have learned that she is no longer employed there. Let me pin this message here really quickly. Thank you, Amber. I was able to locate prior criminal history for Letecia and learned that in North Carolina, Robeson County court case, gives the number, Letecia was convicted after a trial for communicating threats, a misdemeanor, but I was not able to locate her sentencing information. Letecia was also convicted of unauthorized use of a motor vehicle in Robeson County and was sentenced to 45 days confinement and 18 months probation. Although not criminal in nature, I was able to locate a document memorializing the suspension of Letecia's North Carolina teaching certificate in May of 2016. As part of that document, it is reported that Letecia had filed unsubstantiated claims of harassment and retaliation, and the North Carolina State Board found that Ms. Stauch had breached her contract by engaging in unprofessional conduct, which willfully neglecting her duty and failing to comply with the provisions of her contract. Letecia's criminal history is only included by way of background for the court, and because Letecia has been convicted of various crimes, previous crimes, it is not meant to indicate guilt of the violations or to be considered as the sole basis of probable cause for the requested warrant. Eugene Albert Stauch, a.k.a. Al Stauch, date of birth here, the Gannon's biological father, and is married to Letecia Stauch. Mr. Stauch was deployed with the National Guard during the dates of January 25th to January 28th. Mr. Stauch spent the night in Denver on January 25th and departed via commercial airline on January 26th, returning via commercial airline on January 28th. Investigators were able to collaborate this information, and Mr. Stauch has cooperated fully in the below investigation. Summary of multi-agency missing person investigation in Colorado. Of note, and in some portions of this affidavit, depending on the date of the events being discussed, the investigation may be referred to as a missing persons investigation or a murder investigation. For the purpose of this affidavit, they are indeed one and the same. The subsequent information primarily surrounds the period of Monday, January 27th, to Wednesday, January 29th. Investigators have taken independent steps to corroborate information received through the investigation and in most circumstances have video footage, cellular communication and location records, security system records, or other records to support the below claims. This summary section is only meant to give the court an overview of the investigation, and the facts supporting this summary will be articulated below. On January 27th, on or about 18:55 hours, that's 6:55, just before 7 p.m., Letecia Stauch reported Gannon missing after calling 911. During that call, she was instructed to call the El Paso County non-emergency line. In summary, Letecia stated Gannon was supposed to be home approximately 1 hour ago, and that she was unable to locate him at his friend's house. Her story dramatically changed multiple times over the following days. As will be discussed below, investigators do not believe Letecia went to any neighboring houses to attempt to locate Gannon, and it was one of the many lies told by Letecia during the investigation. Letecia was unable to provide the actual location of the homes she went to, the names of Gannon's friends he was supposed to be playing with, or the names of the parents of Gannon's friends. Deputies responded to Letecia's residence at 6627 Manzan Drive in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and were unable to locate Gannon. Deputies conducted a limited search of the residence and took a report from Letecia. Some of the interactions between the responding deputies and Letecia were captured on body-worn camera. A missing person investigation was initiated and in the coming days developed into a murder investigation. A tip line was established, and investigators received hundreds of tips and leads by the public by virtue of emails and telephone calls. As part of this tip line, 2 ransom notes were received by email demanding money in the form of Bitcoin in exchange for Gannon's return. Investigators took steps to validate these ransom notes, including resolving and geolocating the Internet protocol addresses from the email headers and requesting subscriber information from the Internet service providers that hosted those IP addresses. One of these ransom notes was sent from a foreign-based email account that is accessible by multiple individuals. Investigators were unable to trace the user of the IP addresses and believe the ransom notes to be fraudulent and strictly designed as a scheme to receive money. Letecia initially claimed that she last saw Gannon on January 27th when he left their residence to play with his friends somewhere around 15 hours, so 3:15 in the afternoon. Based on the facts outlined below, Letecia's statement to a El Paso County Sheriff's Officer, Letecia is the last person that ever saw Gannon alive. Letecia stated she attempted to find him at a neighbor's house and sent her daughter, Haley Hunt, to look for Gannon at the park. Letecia lied to investigators on multiple occasions and has unexplained abnormal behavior such as obtaining a rental car, disconnecting her cell phone from the cellular network for an extended period of time, the false reporting of alleged rape, abnormal patterns of travel, continuously evolving story with material changes in facts and circumstances, and has since left the state of Colorado. These actions, when combined with other facts in this affidavit, support the totality of probable cause for the requested warrant and will be discussed below. The murder of Gannon Stauch. The following section will outline what investigators have learned about Letecia's activity on January 27th and outline the period when Gannon was likely murdered. Some of the information contained in this section will be repeated in other portions of this affidavit or discussed later in more detail. Additionally, there are evidence sources that are mentioned here, but not fully defined in other sections. Investigators believe that Gannon was murdered by Letecia Stauch in the afternoon hours after approximately 14 hours, so 2:14 in the afternoon, of January 27th, at his residence and more specifically in his bedroom. Physical evidence recovered from the residence and inside Gannon's bedroom supports that a violent event occurred in his bedroom which caused bloodshed, including blood spatter on the walls and enough blood loss to stain his mattress, soak through the carpet pad, and stain the concrete below his bed. Some photographs of this evidence are included below. Based on evidence recovered from the residence, Gannon's remains were eventually brought through the house, into the garage, and likely loaded into the back of Letecia's Volkswagen Tiguan. After cleaning the murder scene, Letecia utilized the Tiguan to transport and dump Gannon's remains on the evening of January 28th, 2020. Letecia likely disposed of his remains off Highway 105 South Perry Park Road in Douglas County, Colorado. Indeed, the Metro Crime Laboratory determined that blood discovered in Gannon's bedroom, the Stauch's garage, and blood on a piece of particle board located off Highway 105 South Perry Park Road and all matched his DNA profile. On Monday, January 27th, Gannon Stauch stayed home from school. Based on text messages from Letecia to Mr. Stauch, Gannon was up most Sunday evening with a stomach problem. Letecia did tell Gannon's school, Grand Mountain Elementary, that Gannon would be absent on Monday. Investigators were able to verify that Gannon was marked as excused absence that day. Letecia also told Al that, "I'm just going to give them an excuse at work and stay with him." Indeed, Letecia did come up with an excuse and told her employer via text message at about 4:37 in the morning that her stepdad was killed after being hit by a car and she would not be able to come to work that day. Other electronic evidence, such as time and date stamped photographs and videos, were recovered from Letecia's cellular telephone that indicate Gannon was likely still alive during the morning of January 27th, 2020. As displayed in paragraph 54 below, images were taken on Letecia's cell at or about 8:13 in the morning and 8:17 in the morning of January 27th, showing Gannon sleeping in his bed. Of particular note, his Nintendo Switch, a small video game console, is visible in the photo lying next to him on the bed. Mr. Stauch has said that this gaming system was of high importance to Gannon. To date, investigators have been unable to locate the Nintendo Switch. It should also be noted that Letecia used her phone the following day, January 28th, on or about 12:57 in the afternoon, to conduct a Google search, "Can Nintendo find my Switch?" This also detailed a list of some of her search history in paragraph 141. Paragraph 141. And reasonably occurred because she was contemplating how she would dispose of the Switch. I conducted a Google search for the term, "Can my Nintendo find my Switch?" and learned that Switch does not come with any sort of tracking ability. As such, Letecia likely felt it was safe to dispose of the Switch and used the missing Switch to help deceive law enforcement into searching for Gannon as a possible runaway. Ultimately, investigators located video surveillance from a neighbor's surveillance camera that showed what investigators believed to be Letecia and an individual that appeared to match Gannon's physical description depart their residence in the Nissan Frontier at or about 10:16 in the morning on January 27th. The video camera is several homes away and does not provide images clear enough to make positive identifications of those captured in the recording. The vehicle returned at or about 14:19 hours, so 2:19 in the afternoon, 4 hours later, and Letecia exited the vehicle. After viewing the video, I cannot be sure if another person exited the vehicle or not, but I submit Gannon likely did return home with Letecia that afternoon. These times, corroborated by data collected from an ADT security system installed in Stauch's residence, are discussed below in more detail. Based on data returned from the Stauch's ADT security system, the motion detectors in the living room or basement did not register any activity from approximately 10-12 hours until Letecia and Gannon enter the home at approximately 14:22 hours. Investigators confirmed Lena to be at school and confirmed that Harley was at work. As such, investigators believe there was likely nobody else in the residence except Letecia and Gannon. Letecia's historical cell site information, detailed information about her phone status, and text message sent to Harley from Gannon's cell phone support that Letecia left her cell phone at the Stauch residence in the morning of January 27th. The fact Letecia left her phone at the home is suspicious on its own based on her history of extensive use of the phone. I have reviewed forensic search records from Letecia's phone and found she is an active user of social media, including, but not limited to, Facebook and Instagram. A more detailed review of Letecia's iPhone screen time log between January 25th 800 hours and January 29th at 1100 hours revealed that Letecia spent approximately 38,607 seconds on Facebook and Facebook Messenger alone, which equates to approximately 10.7 hours of cumulative time over those few days. Letecia's telephone was locked at or about 9:56 hours on January 27th and unlocked at 14:45 hours on the same day. The timing of the unlocking of the device is significant as compared to her departure and arrival to and from the residence and should be noted by the court. Particularly, Letecia did not open her phone for approximately 30 minutes after she arrived back to the residence. On January 27th, there was a message sent from Gannon's phone to Harley's phone that reads, "Tecia left phone at home. If you need her, text me." This message was sent at or about 10:37 hours. Investigators were able to confirm, based on video surveillance footage and her purchase receipts, that Letecia traveled to Petco, located in Colorado Springs. This Petco is approximately 22 miles from the residence and is an approximate 30-minute drive based on Google Map records. The receipt shows that Letecia completed her purchase at or about 11:22 hours, just before noon. Gannon is not visible on any of the surveillance video obtained at Petco. Letecia's whereabouts are unknown between approximately 11:22 hours and 13:22 hours. At 13:22 hours, Letecia was again captured on video surveillance making a second purchase at the same Petco. Mr. Stauch sent a text message to Gannon's cell phone at or about 12:06 that read, "Hey, buddy." This message was unanswered until 13:21 hours. The response was, "Can I play Zelda at least?" Mr. Stauch replied, "Not today." A significant event occurred on Gannon's phone at or about 13:43 hours, which is prior to arriving back to the Stauch's residence. There was an internet search for, "Can my parent find my cell phone if it's off?" I submit that this internet search was likely conducted by Letecia on Gannon's phone and not Gannon himself, based on the contents of the search, the way the search terms are phrased, and the presence of a comma in between the phone and if. This is very similar to the way Letecia conducted searches on her phone. However, I located other internet searches with the comma in Gannon's search history, which I also reasonably believe were conducted by Letecia. A more detailed explanation of Letecia's search history is included below in paragraph 141. Furthermore, the search term was parent, singular. I submit it is reasonable that Mr. Stauch only, not Letecia, would be interested in the location of Gannon's phone, and that Letecia was possibly deliberating how or if she would dispose of Gannon's phone after she murdered him. I conducted the Google search of, "Can my parent find my cell phone if it is off?" and learned that the first answer returned in the search engine reads, "The answer to your question depends on what method is being used to track your location." Gannon's phone was found at the residence. I submit that Letecia did not get rid of Gannon's phone for fear it might be traceable. The Nissan Frontier returned to Stauch residence at or about 14:20 hours. A search warrant authorized by this court was executed on the Nissan Frontier and found no indications of blood inside the vehicle. Letecia had been with her cell phone for hours, and yet her screen was not unlocked until approximately 14:45 hours, which was 25 minutes after arriving back at the residence. During that 25-minute period, there is motion activity both upstairs and downstairs on the ADT records. Latina returned home from school about 15 hours. During the recorded forensic interview with investigators, Lena returned home at 15:15. Lena stated when she returned home, Letecia told her Gannon was asleep in bed and that she could not see him. Letecia told Lena to go outside and play. I submit that Lena was sent outside because Gannon was likely dead, and Letecia was cleaning up blood from inside the house. At about 15:55 hours, Mr. Stauch sent another message to Gannon's phone. Hey, buddy. This message was not read until 1940 hours. It is likely that Gannon was already murdered by Letecia at the time Mr. Stauch sent the message. Based on exterior video footage, Harley arrived at the residence in her white Volkswagen Jetta at or about 16:42 hours and picked up Lena. At or about 16:52 hours on January 27th, Letecia sent a text message to Harley requesting carpet cleaner, trash bags, and baking soda. These items were likely used to clean up the murder scene. Harley purchased these items, and investigators located a receipt documenting the purchase. Harley Hunt has refused to speak with investigators. Investigators did not believe that Harley was present when Gannon was killed. Harley was at work on January 27th, and investigators were able to verify this with her employer. To be clear, investigators have not located any evidence that any person other than Lena and Letecia had access to Gannon between approximately 1000 hours and 1734 hours on January 27th. Okay, so that's the first 50 paragraphs. I need a little bit of water. Good morning, Kelly, all the way from Germany. Good to have you here with us. Taking just a tiny break while we get ready to continue with the affidavit here. Let's see. I don't believe Letecia knows what the truth is, Sally. Using vinegar and baking soda would also help clean up with the blood, but not leave a strong bleach smell. And if this happened around 3:30 and the cops didn't come until 10, that's plenty of time to dry. Sounds like Harley knew something. She is listed as a witness in this trial for the state, so we'll see if she gets called. I keep saying Stauch. We say howdy here. Oh, I cannot remember. Is it Stauch? Do you want me to say Stauch? I'm going to try to remember. The little sister that was 8 years old. See if there are any more questions here. Okay. I think not. I think we're going to... was there a younger sister? Yes, there was an older and a younger sister. Stauch, says Dara. Okay, I'm gonna try to say it right. It's an interesting spelling. You can at least give me that, right? It's a very interesting pronunciation based on the spelling. But I'm gonna say Stauch. Hopefully for the rest of this. I read ahead and my head just sees the words and says what I see, and it just doesn't look like Stauch when I read it. Harley, I believe, is an adult now. She's over 18. Because it's been 3 years. It's German. That makes more sense, Red Pen. All right, let's go ahead. Starting in paragraph 51. This is statements and images captured on body camera on January 27th. There's the crazy starts here. Just wait. Your affiant has it's already happened, but there's more. Your affiant, that's the person who submits this request, has reviewed body-worn camera (BWC) footage and reports obtained from a deputy that responded to the residence of the Stauch family. After responding, Letecia provided verbal consent for deputies to search the house for Gannon. By way of the timeline, the El Paso Sheriff's Office patrol responded at or about 22:09 hours. Okay, so they responded at 2200. She made the call at 4 or 5. Wow, that's a long delay. I know she called the non-emergency number, but that is a huge delay, and I think that goes to the family's the legislation they've sort of driven to improve response times for missing children. Anyway, approximately 3 hours after Letecia initially called 911. That's a long time. From the BWC, I learned that the Volkswagen Tiguan, known to be leased and utilized by Letecia, was backed into the garage when EPSO was at the residence. The position of the Tiguan in the garage is significant, specifically because of the confirmed presence of Gannon's blood in the garage below the area where the rear hatch of the Tiguan would be, and the positive reaction of Blue Star reagent. That's a reactive... It's like luminol, indicating the likely presence of blood on the Tiguan's rear bumper. Responding deputies also searched in Gannon's basement bedroom, and I have viewed images of Gannon's bedroom taken from the body-worn camera. Below, I've included body-worn camera image of Gannon's bedroom on the left. And these pictures are very hard to see because they're black and white, so we're okay looking at these. On the right, the image recovered from Letecia's cell phone after executing a search warrant that was applied for and granted by this court. These images both represent the condition of Gannon's bedroom on January 27th at or about 1813 hours, or 0813 hours, and just after 2200 hours. This photo comparison is significant for many reasons, and the corner of the bedroom where Gannon's head is visible is the key area discussed in several sections below. See right below the image taken at 1813. The placement of Gannon's bed is in the immediate location where his blood, based on DNA profile results, was found on the wall, the carpet, and the concrete below the carpet. These details are discussed below, and a large volume of blood appears to have been in that area. For the purposes of comparison between the images, it appears that although the sheet may or may not be the same, the blankets are different, and the pillowcase, if not the whole pillow, is different. I submit that a logical explanation for the missing bedding is that likely they were saturated in blood after Gannon's murder and were removed by Letecia to clean up the murder scene. Furthermore, investigators were unable to locate the bedding in the Stauch residence during any of approximately 5 searches of the residence. So you've got the 2 images, which we really can't see because it's a black and white copy of a copy. Another photo was recovered from Letecia's cell phone that shows his bed was not pushed directly against the wall by the head of the bed. This photo articulates the ability for the blood to get onto the walls and floor in the corner of the bedroom. Mr. Stauch stated the positioning of the bed is unusual and the bed is usually pushed against the wall. And there's the picture. The need to rent the 2019 Kia Rio. Mr. Stauch spent the night in Denver on January 25th and flew out of Denver International Airport on January 26th. Investigators were able to corroborate that he traveled to Dallas, Texas, and ultimately to Oklahoma based on his flight records. On the morning of January 29th, Letecia rented a 2019 Kia Rio from Avis Rent-A-Car in the Colorado Springs. Letecia picked Mr. Stauch up at the Colorado Springs Airport on or about 50 hours, so just before 9 a.m., on January 29th, and shortly after Letecia rented the vehicle. Letecia and Mr. Stauch drove back to their residence and the airport in the rented Kia. The timing of the rental of Kia is suspicious, and combined with forensic evidence later obtained from the Tiguan and discussed below, tends to place additional importance on why Letecia felt compelled to rent a vehicle that morning. Investigators located no evidence that the Tiguan was not mechanically functioning or noted any reason why it would not have been physically driven. In fact, the Tiguan remained parked in the Colorado Springs Airport short-term parking lot until approximately 1900 hours on January 28th. So she left it in the airport short-term parking, not at the school. Letecia provided statements to her husband, Albert Stauch, that she was concerned about putting mileage on her Tiguan lease, which justified the vehicle rental. It is noted, however, that during the time of the Kia rental, Letecia only put about 71 miles on the vehicle. During the time period Letecia had the Kia, she would not provide the location of the Tiguan, and Mr. Stauch never saw the Tiguan. For example, she told Mr. Stauch that the Tiguan was near French Elementary School. Between investigators and Mr. Stauch, a limited search for the Tiguan was conducted and pronounced negative results. Investigators later learned that she left the vehicle in the short-term parking lot of the Colorado Springs Airport, but removed the vehicle at or about January 28th. At 1900 hours, the Kia Rio was returned on the morning of January 29th. I submit Letecia could not pick her husband up in the Volkswagen Tiguan because it likely would have revealed evidence of Gannon's murder, including blood or the actual remains of Gannon himself. The Kia Rio. Investigators applied for and were granted by this court a search warrant for the 2019 Kia Rio rented by Letecia Stauch. This vehicle was located at the rental car company at the Colorado Springs Airport and had not been rented to another customer in between the time Letecia dropped the vehicle off and when investigators seized it. Investigators did take a swab from a stain that was confirmed to be blood in the trunk of the Kia Rio and submitted it to the Metro Crime Laboratory for analysis. A DNA profile was developed and determined it was a mixture of 2 contributors, one of which was male and the major male profile did not match Gannon Stauch's DNA. So this vehicle may have been used in some other murder. Oh my goodness. I submit that because the Kia Rio is a rental, it has likely been utilized by a large number of people, and the blood in the trunk may or may not be related to the investigation, and investigators have not been able to determine the likely age of the blood and have not matched to any known DNA profiles associated with this case. Investigators noted the Kia had significant amount of mud underneath the vehicle, but this did not provide any sufficient successful investigative leads in looking for Gannon's remains. Investigators collected the air filter of the vehicle and attempted to identify particles that might be useful to identify where the vehicle might have been. Investigators were unable to recover any GPS data or location history for the Kia Rio. Letecia's Volkswagen Tiguan is significant. Red pen, never renting another car again. Harley is the older sister, Marilyn. She's an adult now. Okay, so let's go on to the Volkswagen Tiguan, Letecia's car. The Volkswagen Tiguan is important to investigators because they believe the Tiguan was used to transport the remains of Gannon from the Stauch residence to a location where Gannon's body was dumped. The definitive locations of the Tiguan are unknown to investigators during the period of time of approximately 1902 hours on January 28th to approximately 1200 hours on January 29th. That's where it was in the airport parking lot. Investigators believe Letecia dumped Gannon's remains on the evening of January 28th and utilized the Tiguan to do so. The Tiguan was seized from Letecia on January 29th. Letecia had a scheduled interview with investigators on January 29th at the El Paso Sheriff's Office located in downtown Colorado Springs, Colorado. When she arrived at or about 1200 hours, she was driving the Volkswagen Tiguan. Investigators noted that the vehicle was wet and appeared to have been recently cleaned. I submit that Letecia had to clean the vehicle because there was likely visible blood on the rear end based on the below luminal reactions. Indeed, video footage was recovered that shows a partial view of the car wash located at El Platte and Bonfire Avenue in Colorado Springs, Colorado. This video captured a portion of a black SUV consistent with a Volkswagen Tiguan at or about 11:30 hours on January 29 at the car wash. The time and location are consistent with the raw data obtained from the Tiguan's computer system, described in more detail below, beginning in paragraph 152. Investigators applied for and were granted a search warrant for the Tiguan, which was seized from Letecia at her interview and towed to the El Paso Sheriff's Office evidence facility. On or about February 1st, 2020, the FBI evidence team conducted a search of the Volkswagen Tiguan. In summary, the forensic portion of the search revealed possible traces of blood on the rear of the vehicle, a rear passenger seat, front passenger seat, an area near the glove box based on luminal forensic latent blood stain reagent swabs. Swabs from the trunk area were sent to the Metro Crime Laboratory for further analysis, and these results revealed that the DNA profile could not be developed and that the swab from the trunk was negative for the presumptive presence of blood. To be clear, luminol is a chemical used to detect trace amounts of blood at crime scenes, and although I do not have a chemical or biology background, I have learned that luminol reacts with iron in hemoglobin found in blood. When applied, luminol emits a blue glow when a reaction occurs. I am also aware that there are other things that could cause a reaction, such as other chemicals, and I do not submit that just because luminol reacted with a substance, that the substance must be blood, and only that there is a strong probability of suspected blood. The positive reaction to luminol is meant to be combined with other facts in this affidavit to support the probable cause. Several areas of the Tiguan reacted to luminol, as mentioned in paragraph 68. Specifically, the search team found evidence of suspected blood on the rear bumper, a step plate of the rear bumper. The location of the blood is significant because the vehicle was backed into the garage at Letecia's residence the day of Gannon's murder. The search of the residence is discussed below, but is noted that evidence of Gannon's blood, based on DNA profile, was also located on the floor of the garage, consistent with where the rear end of the Tiguan would have been. A photo is included below to demonstrate the reaction of the luminol reagent to the likely presence of blood. Particularly, the position of the reagent leads investigators to believe that blood was likely in contact with the rear bumper of the Tiguan, and most reasonably while loading Gannon's remains in the trunk. Swabs from the exterior bumper have also been submitted to the Metro Crime Laboratory, but those results have not been returned. However, the Metro Crime Laboratory did return a result from the trunk of the Tiguan that was negative for the presumptive presence of blood. And there's a picture that we can't see anything on of the bumper. A luminol reaction. Within the Tiguan, a receipt from a dollar store was located, time-stamped January 27th at 17:15, so 5:14 in the evening, and documented the purchase of trash bags, baking soda, vinegar, and the items listed in paragraph 74. Investigators believe that Harley purchased these items at the direction of Letecia based on the following text message sent from Letecia's cell phone to Harley's cell phone on January 27th at or about 16:52 hours. Letecia, carpet powder, 2 things, baking soda, trash bags. Also included in this dollar store purchase was baby oil, baby lotion, cotton rounds, and bubble gum. Investigators do not believe these other items were involved in the cleaning of the murder scene and have no investigative value at this point. I know from personal experience that baking soda and vinegar are common household items that can be used to clean blood. Additionally, I conducted open source internet searches that revealed vinegar is one of the most common items used to clean blood stains, and that when baking soda is applied to blood stains prior to vinegar, it has an efficient effect in removing blood stains. While the purchase of such items as vinegar and baking soda are common, and in no sense illegal on their own, the timing of the purchase of these items and Gannon's suspected murder are beyond coincidental. Also located in was a parking receipt for the Colorado Springs Airport that documented that the Tiguan was brought into the airport short-term parking lot at about 8:30 in the morning and left the lot at about 19:02, both on January 28th. On January 29th, Letecia returned the rented Kia at approximately 900 hours, and she was picked up by someone driving the white Jetta. Investigators were unable to confirm that Harley was driving the Jetta, but it is her primary vehicle, and her historical cell phone location from her cellular telephone records support her phone was in the area. As such, I believe Harley was likely driving the Jetta. Investigators were unable to download telematics and stored electronic data from the Tiguan. A more in-depth exploration of the Tiguan's electronic systems, more specifically its historical locations, were developed and will be discussed below in more detail beginning in paragraph 152. Investigators were able to determine some of the locations of the Tiguan on the evening of January 28th, including the location of the area of Highway 105, South Perry Park Road in Douglas County, Colorado. Investigators also served a search warrant to AT&T related to International Mobile Subscriber Identity, the IMSI, designated to the Tiguan's CarNet feature. AT&T responded to the search warrant and provided Network Event Location System, or NELOS, data that would give an estimated location of the Tiguan. The data revealed that during the evening of January 28th, between 20:30 and 22:20 hours, the Tiguan was generally in the greater northwest portion of Colorado Springs and likely also in the area north of the Air Force Academy and southern Douglas County. I submit that during this period, investigators believe that Letecia disposed of Gannon's remains. Of note, during the time period of approximately 20:30 and 22:20 hours on January 28th, Harley's cell phone is connected to a tower that would service the Stauch residence over approximately 30 miles from Letecia's suspected location. There was activity on Harley's telephone during that time, and investigators do not believe that Harley was with Letecia when she disposed of the body. However, at approximately 22:26 hours, Harley's cell phone leaves the Stauch residence and goes to the area of Powers and Carefree, where investigators suspect she picked Letecia up. The January 29th, 2020 interview and the report of alleged rape of Letecia Stauch. As mentioned above, Letecia voluntarily came to the sheriff's office for an interview with investigators, but only after she was evasive and avoided speaking with investigators one-on-one. Her interview was audio and video recorded, and below information includes her own statements, as well as investigation geared towards corroborating those statements. In general, her statements were reasonably categorized as untruthful, incomplete, and misleading. Letecia is supposed to arrive at 10 a.m. on January 29th, but did not arrive until noon. Although she spoke with investigators on the phone several times, she did not want investigators coming to her home and was difficult at best to track down. Investigators provided food and water to Letecia during the interview. Of interest, Letecia brought several pieces of notebook paper with her that contained notes she had written down. During the interview, she referred to these pieces of paper and asked investigators if she could just read her notes. Investigators were not able to seize these documents. I have conducted hundreds of interviews of subjects, victims, and witnesses. It is extremely rare for an individual to bring notes to an interview. Letecia drastically departed from her initial statements given the EPSO deputies regarding the report of Gannon's disappearance. In summary, Letecia said she had been held at gunpoint and raped by a Hispanic male she knew as Eduardo, and that Gannon was abducted by that male after he finished raping her. The interviewing detectives believed her statements were false based on prior experience investigating sexual assault cases. Letecia said she arrived home at 14:30 hours on January 27th, and she disarmed her security system and then went into the basement. She said that Eduardo was in the basement, attacked her, and pointed a gun at her. She said that after Eduardo held her at gunpoint, he allowed her to go upstairs to greet her stepdaughter, Lena, who had just arrived home from school. Letecia said she sent her outside to ride her bike, then returned to the basement where Eduardo raped her. During this period, she believed that she had her head hit, and may have blacked out. Investigators noted no injuries on Letecia's head during their contact with her. Letecia also said during that attack, Gannon jumped on Eduardo's back, and that Eduardo was able to throw Gannon off his back and across the room. After Eduardo finished, he had the gun held to Gannon and demanded a suitcase. Letecia provided him with a brown suitcase and a cardboard box. Eduardo attempted to assault her again, but she hit her head and blacked out again. Letecia stated she tried to fight Eduardo off, but was unsuccessful. I know from training and experience that if an individual holds another person at gunpoint, he or she would likely not allow the person to have opportunity for escape, as Letecia described being allowed to greet her stepdaughter upstairs before returning to the basement. Most crucially, if Letecia's story was accurate, any reasonable person would have immediately called 911 and reported the home invasion, rape, and kidnapping of their child. Letecia called law enforcement hours later and did not report the alleged rape until approximately 2 days later. Even more significance, Letecia said she cleaned up the area where this attack had happened. She straightened up signs of disturbances in Gannon's room and cleaned up the utility room. Investigators recovered cleaning supplies such as carpet brushes, which contained suspected carpet fibers. I submit that Letecia did in fact clean something up, but it was the murder scene of Gannon, not a sexual assault. Investigators took steps to corroborate Letecia's statements before dismissing them as false and misleading. For example, investigators reviewed video footage from a neighboring security camera that captured the exterior of the Stauch residence from the day of Gannon's murder and did not observe a Hispanic male entering the house. Investigators did observe Lena arrive home on the school bus at or about 15:11 hours, or 3:11 in the afternoon, and observed her enter the residence, and observed her riding her bike at or about 15:30 hours. Furthermore, Letecia was offered the opportunity to have a SANE examination, which is a sexual assault nurse examiner, a forensic examination at a local hospital. Ultimately, Letecia did not want to have the exam completed. When given the opportunity to provide investigators with evidence that would possibly identify Eduardo, Letecia refused to cooperate. Letecia stated she met Eduardo on January 26th, the day prior to Gannon's murder. She generally described a Hispanic male with brown hair and brown eyes, but could not provide any specific identifying information. In summary, she told investigators that Gannon had knocked over a candle on Sunday, causing the carpet to burn. After that incident, she drove around the neighborhood where residential construction was taking place. She met Eduardo, who was working on a house, and asked if he would repair the carpet in her home. Eduardo agreed, and Letecia provided him the garage door code, and they agreed he would repair the carpet while she was shopping the next day. To the extent Letecia spoke about Lena, investigators were able to corroborate those statements, but never observed Eduardo or anyone else arrive or leave the residence during the time period based on the exterior neighborhood video footage of the front of the Stauch residence. Specifically, exterior video footage revealed that Lena was riding her bike outside between approximately 15:30 and 15:42 hours. Furthermore, the front door of the residence opened and closed at 15:28 hours based on data from ADT security system discussed more below. I know from training and experience that when individuals concoct lies and most reasonably to conceal the truth, they oftentimes leave portions of truths within those lies. I submit that the statements Letecia made reference Lena and the time period between Lena was at the residence are likely true based on video evidence. Her other statements, however, are blatant lies designed to mislead investigators. Investigators also reviewed Letecia's phone records during the time period of the alleged rape, 15:30 hours to 16:30 hours on January 27th. During this time period, Letecia had phone activity to include an outgoing phone call, numerous iMessages, text messages using an iPhone, to Mr. Stauch and Harley, namely to discuss purchasing a new set of headphones for Albert. These text messages occurred at the following times: 15:41, 15:42, 15:43, 15:44, 15:45, 16:11, 16:19, and 16:20. Investigators also were granted a search warrant by this court that was served to ADT Home Security, which requested data stored on the ADT servers related to the Stauch residence. The Stauch residence was equipped with basement and living room motion detectors and contact detectors on the front and rear door. ADT was in possession of the logs that documented the time, date, and type of event that generated a log. For example, when either motion detector was activated or the front or rear door opened or closed, there was a record of that event. Letecia claimed that she was raped in the basement between 14:30 and 15:30. During that time, the back door of the residence, located on the main level, was opened and closed 10 times. If indeed Letecia was being raped in the basement, it would be impossible for her to open the upstairs back door of the residence at the same time. I submit that Letecia's claims are false, based on her cell phone activity and the stored ADT data. The logs from ADT indicate significant activity in the basement of the residence where evidence suggests Gannon was murdered. For example, between January 23rd and January 26th, and the hours of 15 to 1700, that's 3 to 5 in the afternoon, the average number of basement motion events was 3.5. On January 27th, the average number of basement motion events was 10.3. A possible scenario for the increase in activity is that Letecia was going upstairs and downstairs in order to get cleaning supplies and cleaning the murder scene. Towards the end of the interview, Letecia said she wanted to leave. Investigators seized her telephone and detained her while they applied for a search warrant to obtain DNA collection. Letecia began stuffing tissues in her pants and said she was having a chest pain and shortness of breath. Investigators immediately requested medical assistance, and paramedics from the Colorado Springs Fire Department arrived. Letecia and the had appropriate responses to the paramedics' questions. I am aware that Letecia has made statements regarding Gannon's disappearance to individuals other than law enforcement, including but not limited to her friend, her husband, and the media. Indeed, some of those conversations have been captured and memorialized in recorded phone conversations and email messages. Letecia's stories have continued to evolve, and material facts continue to change, including but not limited to the identity of her attacker, the location of Gannon's abduction, and the details of the alleged rape. During her statements, Letecia did deny killing Gannon and provided explanation as to why there was blood in her Tiguan, blood in Gannon's room, and why she was in the area of Palmer Lake, Colorado. Oh. Yeah, I'm going to leave my mug up here and try not to dump it on my laptop. Letecia is transported to a local hospital in Colorado Springs on January 29th. Letecia was transported to the hospital via ambulance from the EPSO, the sheriff's office, for further medical attention. Letecia was accompanied by detectives during the ride to the hospital. Unlike questions at the EPSO, the phone's ringing here. There we go. Unlike questions at the EPSO by paramedics, during the ambulance ride, Letecia was unresponsive to questions by medical personnel and seemed to have a miraculous recovery when they arrived at the hospital. The ambulance ride was audio recorded. Kids are running through the house, sorry. Letecia received medical care at the hospital, and the details of that care is not included in this affidavit for medical privacy reasons. Letecia did not have any life-threatening issues and signed herself out prior to all her exams being completed. Letecia continued evasive behavior at the hospital, but particularly after investigators told her they were going to detain her pending the issuance of a search warrant to collect her DNA. Ultimately, the search warrant for the collection of non-testimonial evidence was signed and executed. A second warrant for a compelled SANE exam was initially authorized by this court, but then was quashed by the court. To be clear, Letecia did not allow a SANE exam to be completed. That would have indicated if there was actually an assault. Letecia was not in custody after the warrant was executed at the hospital and left the hospital without telling investigators. She also made a phone call from the waiting room at the hospital. There was physical surveillance being conducted by law enforcement in the area, and investigators learned Letecia was picked up by an unknown person at the hospital and was reunited with her daughter several miles from the hospital. Although her behavior was not illegal, I submit that as pressure continued to increase from investigators, Letecia became more and more desperate to leave the hospital, likely because she feared being caught in her lies. Furthermore, Letecia did not want to pursue collecting evidence that might assist law enforcement in identifying and finding her supposed rapist. Searches of Letecia's residence and discovery of confirmed blood in Gannon's bedroom. Hey, we're almost halfway. Investigators searched the Stauch residence several times over, several weeks after applying for and being granted search warrants from this court. The purpose of these searches was to collect evidence, including biological evidence, in support of the captioned investigation. The forensic searches were conducted by the Colorado Springs Metro Crime Lab. To avoid confusion, the January 28th initial search was authorized by Mr. Stauch, and he provided consent to search the residence. Not all of the evidence recovered is included below. However, the forensic evidence testing results of several items, including a pair of size 8.5 Nike shoes, are discussed in paragraph 126. Gannon's remaining family members were living in the residence during the period of these searches, and investigators did not initially seal the residence off. Crime scene analytics from the Colorado Springs Metro Crime Labs responded to the residence and found traces of human blood throughout the residence based on Blue Star forensic latent blood stain reagent tests, luminol. There was visible blood in Gannon's room, in the garage, and other portions of the house. Blue Star forensic stain has similar limitations to luminol, which has been described and discussed above. By way of background, the residence located at their address is a ranch-style single-family home, approximately 2,500 square feet with two-car attached garage. There are 4 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms in the residence. 2 of those bedrooms are in the basement, including Gannon's. Next to Gannon's room, there is an unfinished utility room. On the other side of the basement, another bedroom and a bathroom. There is a staircase with a small landing that allows access from the main level to the basement, and the garage is accessible from inside the residence. Blue Star reagent was applied to Gannon's bedroom, the hallway leading to the utility room from his bedroom, the utility room itself, and the staircase and landing leading upstairs from the utility room, the pathway to the garage from the stairs, and the garage area itself. In all of these areas, investigators found positive results for the likely presence of blood. Man. Who was saying they'd call in and switch reading? Amber. We'll get through this. I might not have a voice when I'm done, but we'll see. Blue Star reaction at the base of the stairs in the garage at the Stauch residence. That's the picture there. You can't see that one. Specifically in Gannon's bedroom, in a corner of the room, investigators located an area where suspected blood had seeped through the carpet, through the pad, and stained the concrete. Furthermore, there was also blood stain and projected blood spatter located on the walls in this area. Indeed, over 50 droplets of suspected blood were found on the walls near Gannon's bed. Crime scene investigators also suspected someone attempted to clean the walls based on the way Blue Star reacted to the reagent on the wall. Gannon's mattress was also seized and contains a red stain consistent with blood in the same area as the stain on the carpet, and the blood cast off of the wall on the walls. The stains on the mattress were swabbed but were not tested with Blue Star reagent. The laboratory's results have not been returned, but because other blood in the area was determined to be Gannon's blood, investigators suspect the blood on the mattress is also Gannon's blood. I've included several crime scene photographs that include the wall next to Gannon's bed and the carpet and pad that was removed by investigators to expose the concrete below. Based on the orientation of Gannon's bed, the vast majority of the blood would be in line with the position of his head and torso and consistent with the stain of the mattress displayed above. I submit that the blood located in Gannon's room appears to have been cleaned up based on residual blood residue on the baseboards and electrical outlet cover, and the blood that soaked through the carpet. DNA laboratory testing has confirmed that it was indeed Gannon's blood, and Gannon's body has not been found, reasonably indicating this was likely the scene of Gannon's murder. Investigators have requested, but have not yet received, a report from Tom Griffin, who is an International Association for Identification, or IAI, certified senior crime scene analyst, a bloodstain pattern analyst, and a crime scene reconstructionist. You can tell we're going to hear from this guy. Mr. Griffin examined the blood spatter on Gannon's walls. Mr. Griffin preliminary reported that the stains on the walls were consistent with one or more blood spatter-producing events, which could include gunshot, blunt force, or stabbing. Mr. Griffin did not believe the blood stains were aspirated blood, primarily due to the lack of air bubbles in the stains. Furthermore, the shape of the stains were affected by the surface texture of the drywall itself. The final report from Mr. Griffin has not been received and is pending peer review. Trace evidence swabs of suspected blood were obtained from the electrical socket next to Gannon's bed. These swabs revealed the blood was indeed Gannon's blood based on DNA profile testing. The electrical socket also has evidence of streak marks, which are reasonably suspected to be from Letecia's attempted cleaning. When investigators removed the outlet cover, a visible red stain was present outlining its edges. The presence of this red stain tends to support that there was enough blood around the outlet cover to seep around its edges, leaving a visible outline. There's the pictures. There's a photo of the wall next to the bed. I have also included a photograph of the suspected blood stain on the concrete, located in the corner of the bedroom where Gannon's bed was positioned. The stain is also visible in the photo depicting a suspected blood spatter on the walls. The carpet above the stain is in the concrete was clean, and investigators suspect Letecia cleaned the area based on carpet fibers on scrub brushes. The acquisition of carpet cleaning supplies, vinegar, and baking soda. The house was a new construction build, and the Stauch family was the only family to reside in this residence. On January 29th, investigators recovered a piece of carpet from the utility room with possible blood stains. The recovery of this carpet tends to further support the positive alerts from the Blue Star reagent in the utility room. The Metro Crime Lab reported the substance tested presumptively positive for the presence of blood, but was unable to develop a DNA profile. On January 29th, investigators found in the dishwasher multiple carpet brushes with suspected carpet fibers on them, and the dishwasher appeared to have been run. Investigators believe these brushes were used to clean up the murder scene. To be clear, no formal testing was completed to confirm the fiber on the brushes were carpet. Investigators also located an empty gallon-sized container of vinegar within the residence. Mr. Stauch believed there was approximately half of the container left before he left for Oklahoma on January 25th. As mentioned above, additional vinegar was purchased on January 27th. El Paso Sheriff's officers, deputies that responded to the Stauch home on January 27th did not notice the bloodstains in Gannon's bedroom, and it should be noted the initial report was that Gannon had left his home and had not returned. As additional information was developed, more forensic searches of Gannon's room were conducted, which revealed the aforementioned evidence. There were small traces of blood found in depressions of the drywall and paint texture that Letecia failed to remove when she cleaned the murder scene. Metro Crime Laboratory report case for the case, 20 MCL 00267. Pause for water. I have received and viewed Metro Crime Laboratory Report Lab Case 20 MCL 00267, completed by serologist Sherry Holmes. Although I have disclosed results related to this DNA testing in other portions of this affidavit, the intention of this section is to provide clarity and eliminate ambiguity of which samples were submitted to the laboratory and which samples were or were not attributable to Gannon Stauch's DNA. Additionally, there is an unknown contributor in some of the DNA profiles that were developed. As mentioned elsewhere in this affidavit, I do not have a biology background, but I am aware that a DNA profile is very accurate. Investigators submitted swabs from Gannon Stauch's toothbrush bristles, toothbrush head, and from a tooth retainer that Mr. Stauch said belonged to Gannon. DNA buccal swabs were also taken from Gannon's biological father, mother, and from Letecia Stauch. From these samples, DNA profiles of these individuals were developed and used as a comparison for other testing. In summary, Gannon's DNA profile was found from blood samples taken in the garage, on the outside of 8.5 Nike shoes, size 8.5 Nike shoes, and in Gannon's bedroom. Letecia's DNA was recovered from the interior of the 8.5 Nike shoes. I submit to the court that lab results tend to corroborate the theory that Gannon was indeed murdered in his bedroom, brought into the garage, and remains loaded into the Volkswagen Tiguan, subsequently to be disposed of in an unknown location. To be more specific, a serology study was conducted by the Metro Crime Lab, and the following samples were tested positive for the presence of blood. These samples were also analyzed and compared to known DNA profiles of Gannon Stauch, Lisa Stauch, and Albert Stauch. Item 1, taken from a piece of carpet found inside the carpet roll in the utility room, found to be a mixture of 3 contributors, at least one is male. DNA profile not suitable for comparison due to the number of contributors and the complexity of the mixture. Item 2, taken from the garage of the Stauch residence, directly under where the rear hatch of the Tiguan when reversed into the garage. This DNA profile was from the blood is a mixture of 2 contributors, one of which is male. The major profile matches Gannon Stauch. Item 3, taken from the garage of the Stauch residence, directly under where the rear hatch of the Tiguan when reversed into the garage. This DNA profile is from the blood is a mixture of 2 contributors, one of which is male. The major profile matches Gannon Stauch. Got a lot of these. D. Sorry, I was doing 1, 2, 3, 4. I should do A, B, C, D like it says. D. Taken from the garage, directly under where the rear hatch of the Tiguan was, and this matches Gannon. E, taken from the carpet at the base of the garage stairs. DNA profile couldn't be developed, but tested presumptively positive for the presence of blood. F, taken from the blood-stained carpet fibers near Gannon's bedroom. DNA profile was obtained from the blood and matches the DNA profile of Gannon Stauch. G, taken from the corner of Gannon's bedroom on a carpet pad by his bed. A DNA profile from the profile matches Gannon Stauch. H, taken from an electrical outlet in the cover in Gannon's bedroom by his bed. DNA profile from this blood is a mixture of 2 individuals, at least one of which is male. The major profile matches the DNA profile of Gannon Stauch. I, taken from the electrical socket, matches the DNA profile of Gannon Stauch. J, taken from the back side of the carpet in Gannon's bedroom near his bed. DNA profile matches Gannon Stauch. K, taken from the blood stain at the top of the foam from the carpet in Gannon's bedroom. DNA matches Gannon Stauch. L, taken from the trunk area of the Volkswagen Tiguan, was found to be negative for the presumptive presence of blood. M, taken from a teal couch pillow in the basement of the Stauch residence, was found to be presumptive positive for the presence of blood, but no DNA profile was able to be developed. N, taken from the outsole of the right Nike shoe, a DNA profile was obtained after swabbing a confirmed blood stain on the outsole of the right side of the Nike size 8.5 Nike shoe, and was found to match the DNA profile of Gannon Stauch. Furthermore, a DNA profile was obtained from a swab of the inside of the shoe, which matched the DNA profile for Letecia Stauch. Historical cell site location for related cellular telephones. Investigators applied for and were granted search warrants by this court to obtain historical call detail records to include cell site locations of cellular devices known to be utilized by Letecia and Harley. Your affiant has reviewed information from this analysis and, in summary, learned the following information. Historical cell site analysis helps to determine the location of a cellular telephone based on cell tower locations and orientation. Locations are determined by activity of the cellular telephone and represent an approximate area, not an exact location. Different cellular carriers report this information in different formats and fashions. The historical cell site analysis identified unusual activity for Letecia, including potentially disconnecting her cell phone from the cellular network for several hours. I submit that by disconnecting the phone, Letecia intended to prevent law enforcement from being able to determine her location. Specifically, this occurred on January 28th. During the evening, she disposed of Gannon's remains. Investigators applied for and were granted a search warrant for Letecia's cellular telephone. A physical download was conducted, and investigators were able to recover data inclusive of text messages, call records, and specific times her cell phone was unlocked, battery levels, and other information. In summary, investigators learned that Letecia lied to her employer, her husband, her friends, her daughter, and the children's babysitter. I will not include each and every text message or lie. Additionally, there are messages that would otherwise tend to corroborate her statements about Gannon's whereabouts on the afternoon of January 27th. If, in fact, he did go play with his friends. As discussed in other portions of the affidavit, Letecia's story was false and misleading, and these messages were likely sent by her as part of a larger plan to support her initial lies about his disappearance. For example, on January 28th, the approximately 5:14 in the morning, Letecia had a conversation with Stephanie, the children's babysitter, saved in the phone as Stephanie's sitter. There is no indication that Gannon ever went to a doctor, and Letecia never brought that up with investigators. Some, but not all of their conversation is below. Take more breaks. We can ask some questions. How about now? Let's take a break. I'm trying to see exactly where we are in this one. We're almost 2/3 of the way through. Let me see if we have some questions. Can anyone tag me in a question? Oh, I've got a call from Amber. Hang on. Amber, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Figured I'd call and give you a break as we're kind of thumbing through to see if we have any kind of questions. Do you want a break? I'm more than happy to help you read this.
It's good. I'll read through it. I can do it. But we might just need a little bit of water break. Rest the throat for a second.
Well, then I'll help you go through questions as they come in, since I've gone through all of this. All of the blood testing was done. There was one search that was done with permission only given by Al.
Right.
And then the following days and weeks, there were search warrants done. So some presumptive positive testing was done, like the day after he was reported missing, and those first few days, and then a couple of weeks later, more things were tested. So depending on what blood testing you're talking about depends on when it was tested.
Right. It sounds like there were 5 searches of the home, but we're covering a span of several different searches. The babysitter was never at the home, is my understanding. The babysitter was never there.
Correct.
Let's see, there is no court on Thursdays. No court on Thursdays because the court has other work they do other than this trial. Let's see, someone was saying that Letecia first buried Gannon, then dug him up. We haven't heard that he was buried and then dug up yet. We'll probably get evidence from the suitcase that might indicate that there's like soil or something with the body. I think that's where we're going to get that. Is that?
Well, we haven't gotten to that point yet in the PPA yet either.
Right. So we're at this point, and right now they don't have the Nintendo Switch. I'm not sure if they ever get it. Honestly, I'm not sure if they've ever found it.
I don't think they did. I don't think it was ever recovered.
Yeah.
Ivan, the evidence was collected kind of along the same lines as when the blood was tested. Some of it was collected the next day, which was the 28th. Some was collected the subsequent days thereafter, and of course, the weeks following.
Yeah.
Marie asked the question, where did it go?
Let me answer this one. How long till the jury finds her guilty? Interesting. She's not saying I'm not guilty. She's saying she's not guilty by reason of insanity, which is basically saying I did it, but I wasn't sane. So it's a little bit different case. The state is prosecuting it as if she's saying she's not guilty, but the jury has to determine if her defense, which is an active defense, affirmative defense, she has to convince them that she was insane or prove that she was insane at the time. And I think they're only bringing one witness in. I think defense just has that one witness who says she's insane on their list. Heard something about a ransom note. Yes, I think those were just people trying to be opportunistic about the situation and demanding Bitcoin, probably from overseas. Murray, I found her question here. Do you want to take this one, Amber? How did she move her car and get back to the rental car at the airport? Is someone helping?
So the short answer is yes. The long answer is we haven't gotten to that part of the PCA yet because the PCA actually details some of that information. So short answer, yes, but we'll get more details as Scott reads through the rest of this 32-page PCA.
I'm now further than I've pre-read on this, so I don't know what's coming up, but I know the story does not get less crazy as we go.
No, it just gets even more complex and convoluted.
Yeah. Were they able to follow or track Letecia to Florida? Yes. They were able to piece the pieces together. She was eventually arrested in South Carolina, right?
Correct. Myrtle Beach.
Myrtle Beach, yep. Other side of the country. Do they know this blood everywhere before the husband's phone calls? No, they didn't know this blood was there during the first. I mean, the cops, the video we saw or partially saw yesterday of the body cam footage as they were walking around the house. This, the cleanup had just happened, and the police did not see any of this evidence. So she did a pretty good job on the cleanup. Not a very good job because Liminal found it, and investigators found it. But it's possible that during that search, that the Gannon's body was in the car, in the trunk of the car, in the suitcase at the time, and they missed it.
Right, and putting the pieces together with the timeline that I sent you, and everybody, it's actually in the Discord in the case file for this case. The exact thing that I sent to Scott, it condenses and takes out all of the minutia and all the added details and just gives you the bare bones of this PCA and actually pieces together where in time this happened, quite literally from the 25th on. And he wasn't reported missing until the 27th. So, which is when this allegedly happened.
Kathy, you say they had the switch yesterday in court. I remember seeing the picture, but I was not paying attention if he opened the package and the switch was inside. I remember seeing the picture being introduced to the police officer who was showing the evidence with the red tape, and it was very quiet, letter envelope opening. But I'll have to go back and watch. If they have the switch, then they obviously recovered it at some point. But I thought somewhere they had never recovered it. So we'll have to see where that.
I thought so too. So we'll have to go back and look because that could have been one of the other consoles within the house because they had multiple consoles. So that's interesting. I'll go back to.
Okay. Any other questions? Let's see. Thea Barnes says, motive, angry that she had the responsibility of the children or jealousy. There's going to be some indications that come out about not everything was really nice in the marriage. She wasn't happy, or he wasn't happy. I'm not sure exactly how that worked out.
Motive info definitely is going to come out in the PCA.
Why isn't the doctor that Mr. Stauch took her to going to testify? The doctor, kitty bang bang. Dr. N. I don't know. I don't the names. I don't have them familiarized yet. Maybe as we get further in the PCA, it might reference that. But I know there was one point where Letecia said she took Gannon to the doctor instead of having to go to school, and that never happened. So if that's what you're talking about, that was another made up story. Who was on the phone with you, and what did she do? Jujubee. Jujubee. This is Amber. This is Calypso's Vixen. I cannot say your name today. I've said too many words. All right, she's Amber. She's over on the Discord as well. She's a document hound, a true crime addict, and just is fantastic at getting us information about cases that we're learning about. So she's provided me some timeline information, which we'll probably cover another day, that puts all this information in sort of like a condensed form where we can follow it a little better. But she's also one of our fabulous mods here on the channel. Okay, she used the 17-year-old a lot. Yes, and it's interesting the 17-year-old is not cooperating at this point. Mr. Upper Torso says, I think cops didn't know about the blood during AI's calls. The first call was February 13th. I think they had some evidence by then. What's her motive? Money? Defense has said you're not going to hear anything about motive. And honestly, in Colorado, they don't need to prove it. It's not one of the requirements for getting a conviction. They didn't see or smell it. Right, but that's because it was vinegar and baking soda, which, once dry, doesn't leave much of a smell at all. Okay, wait, so if she's guilty of the unaliving of Gannon and is found nuts, is there a chance she'd be released or is going to be sent to a loony bin? She'd be sent to a loony bin, but it's possible that she could eventually be released from the loony bin. You see anything else, Amber, that jumps out at you that we need to talk about before we pick up where we left off?
I've seen quite a bit. And let me scroll back up because my chat just refreshed all the way back down again.
Here's a question from Christy Aiken for you. She says, Amber, could you remind us why the jury is allowed to ask questions?
So this is something that is jurisdiction-based, sometimes state-by-state basis. Some of the legal and analyst members of the channel, I don't know if any of them are in the chat right now, but it's really state by state and really jurisdiction by jurisdiction, and sometimes even judge by judge. So I think it's great when the jury gets to ask questions, because sometimes counsel doesn't see the missing pieces that the jury hasn't quite had filled in yet. So I think it's a great part of the system where they get to ask questions, but it's really jurisdictional, judge, discretionary.
Yeah, great answer. Yep, it changes. It's one of those things that every time we get to a new trial, we're like, oh, that's different. They do it differently here. So that's one of the things we get here. Just knocked over the water bottle with the lid on this time. Okay, I'm going to refill the mug, and then we're going to go ahead and I'm going to refill the mug. I'll have a sip of water, and we're going to try to get through the last third of this PCA.
You're doing good. I can hear you're getting a little winded, and the dry mouth is kicking in from reading so much.
Yeah, it might have to be. We might have to cut it short after this today, but yeah.
Well, I will say, because in the PCA, like right now on screen, you've got the text messages with the sitter. I don't know if you can actually see that to read that. But the email that I sent you, you may actually be able, because the PCA is kind of jumping all around in certain aspects of the case.
Right.
So what I did with that timeline is I put everything together in one section, and I put in parentheses in certain places that not found until later, or later discovered, or whatever the case may have been. So it wasn't done right in that moment, but all of the text messages are actually in there and quoted.
Yeah,
so
I think I'll be able to get through most of these. I think I can make out most of the words. I've got it blown up on my big screen, so that'll help. But let me get back at it. Amber, thanks for the break. Thanks for taking a couple questions for me, and we'll see if we can get through the rest of this.
Not a problem. I'll see if I can't answer some more as in chat as they come in.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Not a problem.
We'll see you, Amber. Bye. All right. Jan Allison, thank you so much for becoming a member. I appreciate your support. Welcome. One of the perks of being a member is you get to type !seat and move right up to the front row. And we've got reserved seating for you, virtual seating. So thank you very much for joining. Okay, we'll keep the mug in a safe place, and we're going to pick up. Okay, so we're
Girl just sent a super sticker with 1.99.
Super sticker just came in. Thank you, Cajun Girl, for the super sticker. I'm gonna try to keep the sounds down. Obviously, if I want to recognize anyone that does support the channel as a member or something like that. But we're trying to just focus on this, so I appreciate you guys keeping the sound effects to a minimum here. Let's go. Okay, I think we're ready. All right. We are still talking about the text messages, so we're ready to read the messages. This is some or not all the conversation with Stephanie, the sitter. So from Stephanie, she says the first text is, "This happened at after 3:30." Outgoing from her as well. "We talked to him and told him to be home by 6." And it's not making sense who's who. So I'm going to read the messages. This is back and forth between Letecia and Stephanie. But someone posted he wasn't at school either. That was from Stephanie. He had to go to the doctor for his stomach, probably from Letecia. But he was home in the afternoon. Why did he say he was at? Honestly, I don't keep up with his friends. So a little bit crazy there. I'm not here. Thank you for becoming a member. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. I just saw that out of my corner of my eye. Let's see. Starting paragraph 133. Gets a little easier here. Letecia made statements to investigators via text message that could be considered as exculpatory, meaning that they could be good for her, saying that evidence that she wasn't guilty in nature, related to the presence of blood in the basement of the residence, as seen in the below text message. I have talked with investigators that were inside the Stauch residence on January 27th, 28th, and 29th. There was no odor of smoke and no evidence of smoke. In fact, one detective noted the basement smelled like coconut and was very pleasant. Furthermore, I know that burns oftentimes do not produce wounds that bleed profusely. This text message says, when we came back inside from the smoke, there was blood on both of us. I didn't know what to do. I was scared I would get fussed out about it. I didn't know if he should go to the doctor. I kept trying to add the candle thing, but Albert kept saying it was small and minor. I was scared. The basement was smoky, and when I threw the covers on everything, we both had blood. Then you don't understand how hard it is to be a stepmom. The below message appears to contain instructions from Letecia to Harley to purchase carpet, powder, baking soda, trash bags on or about January 27th. These messages are important because investigators believe the purpose of these items was to clean up blood from the murder of Gannon. This text message was referenced above in paragraphs 72 through 76. The message said, carpet powders, 2 things, baking soda, trash bags. Investigators also recovered limited GPS and location data from Letecia's phone. There are crucial time periods, such as the evening on January 28th. The investigators were not able to recover location history because Letecia disconnected her phone from the cellular network or turned the phone off. Letecia stored several written notes within her phone. The majority of these notes contained what appeared to be usernames, passwords, or insurance information. There were several notes that appeared to reference her unhappiness in the relationship and shed some light on potential household instability. Letecia's internet activity, here we go. Between January 25th and the 29th. I was able to review some, but possibly not all, of the stored internet search history and the websites visited, recovered from a forensic physical download and search of Letecia's iPhone. Between the dates of January 25th and January 28th, Letecia viewed websites associated with searching for a job in states other than Colorado, such as Los Angeles, California, Orlando, Florida, Pensacola Beach, Florida, and Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Letecia also viewed apartments and 2-bedroom rental properties in Florida. Additionally, she visited a moving cost calculator website. Letecia's internet activity also captured the search for a rental car and visited the website of Priceline.com on January 28th at or about 08:17 hours. I submit this timing is consistent with the acquisition of the Kia Ria mentioned in this affidavit. Letecia appeared to use Google, a popular online search engine. I have included some of her queries to Google, along with the date and approximate time of the search. Not all of her Google searches are included below. I submit that Letecia's search history is important because the history suggests she might have been struggling as a step-parent and additionally suggests she was not happily married to Mr. Stauch. While her search history alone does not provide motive to murder Gannon, it does shed light on her inquisitive thoughts of her position within the family, memorialized in Google's search engine. I also direct the court's attention to the way Letecia's search terms are sometimes entered. Letecia hits the period key instead of the space key multiple times while searching the internet. That might be a comma key. In approximately 44% of the searches listed below. This will be significant during the discussion of a search conducted on Gannon's phone, and it was discussed above in the paragraph 40 and will be further discussed below. There are other searches on Letecia's phone that use a period or a comma. I think it's period. And additional search history over the longer time span does not exist that is not listed below. Here goes the search history. Buckle up. Find real military singles. Google. Parenting should be 4 people, not 1. Google. I'm doing all the work for my stepkids and their mom doesn't help. Google. Mom advice from stepmom. If you aren't involved, if you aren't involved, it's your kid's life. You are shoddy. Can't say that word. My husband's ex-wife does nothing for her kids. I wonder if my husband's ex-wife is sending me a card since I raise her kids. I wonder if my husband's ex-wife is sending me a Valentine's card since I raise her kids. I wonder if my husband's ex-wife is sending me a Valentine's card since I raise her kids. One day, some people will wish they treated you differently. One day, people will wish they treated you differently. Why should my husband choose me over family? Find me a rich guy who wants me to take care of his kids. Find a guy who wants me to take care of his kids and get paid. It's crappy some parents don't care for their kids or buy them presents. Parents are those who put their kids before their nails. Parents are those who put their kids before their nails. My son burns the carpet. How do I fix it? Will humidifier help if exposed to smoke? Smoke effects. Will humidifier help? Smoke from the fire effects. Will humidifier help? Colorado law for kids staying at home. School is out. Is it okay for my kid to stay at home alone? Son is sick, but I have to work. Son sick. Can he stay home? Suede repair kit for sofa. El Paso Sheriff's Office number. What is the process for our runaway child? Police steps for our runaway. Police steps for our missing child. Today's flight, OKC to Colorado, I believe. Can Nintendo find my Switch? Carnet, Volkswagen. They are asking for our son's toothbrush, but said nothing is wrong. Okay, so yeah, that's just in case you're keeping score. That part is not normal, all right? This is not normal stuff. Investigators were also able to recover internet search history that was deleted from Letecia's phone. No time and date association was located with the data, and I can only ascertain that the searches were conducted prior to the search seizing Letecia's phone on January 29th. Some, but not all, of the search history is included below. Some of the other deleted items search terms include travel planning, shopping, job searches, and other seemingly innocent activity. I have not purposely left out any particular search that would be exculpatory in nature, and I am not intending to portray all that Letecia deleted searches were nefarious in nature. Find me a new husband book. I feel like I'm just a nanny, not a stepmom. Husband uses me to babysit his kids. Are there any free money to move away from bad situation? My husband never posts about me, but does say everything else. My husband only cleans up for the army, not me. I am just a glorified babysitter. Find a new husband. Sent my husband sexual messages and he ignores them. Make my husband want me more. I feel like my husband uses me to babysit his kid. Find a guy without kids. Some deleted search terms located on Letecia's phone right there. No information was available. No date information was available. Letecia Stauch's consciousness of guilt. During the first 24 to 48 hours surrounding the disappearance of a child, it is reasonable that an assumingly innocent parent or step-parent would be contributing to search efforts and fully participating in the effort to recover the child. In the 24 to 48 hours surrounding Gannon's disappearance, Letecia rented a vehicle, turned her cell phone off for approximately 4 hours on the evening of January 28th, and washed her Tiguan immediately prior to coming to the EPSO for an interview. Evaded law enforcement's attempts to conduct a more in-depth interview and did not participate in the search for Gannon. On Tuesday, January 28th, between 08:48 and 08:54, Letecia instructed Harley to pull your car into the garage via text message, presumably to temporarily cover up any potential evidence left behind. To be clear, Harley has her own vehicle that was mentioned above in paragraph 13, specifically a Volkswagen Jetta. On January 28th, at approximately 16:04 to 16:17 hours, investigators asked Letecia for Gannon's toothbrush to recover his DNA. At about 16:19 hours, Letecia did a search in her internet browser for "They are asking for our son's toothbrush but said nothing is wrong." At or about 16:31 to 16:33, Letecia has a text conversation with Mr. Stauch. Letecia: something isn't right. I think they're hiding something. Mr. Stauch: who, the police? Letecia: yes, they asked for toothbrushes. Mr. Stauch: what do you think they're hiding? Also on January 28th, at about 22:45 hours, Letecia made a statement to investigators via text message. At the time of this statement, Gannon had been missing for approximately 27 hours, and Letecia believed she was a subject in his disappearance without any prior prompting from law enforcement or notification of such. Letecia said, quote, "What do you want from me? Because I have nothing. One of your very own leaked to me what you guys are doing. I did nothing and am being set up. I am not really even sure, other than being told that by another blue with El Paso. I was told I couldn't go home and sleep and on top of that, men were sent to a home with a minor female, and she was forced to stay there and not even leave for food. Every conversation that said, even at this moment, I can hear inside. What do you want from me?" Detective Bethel: come in to talk to me. I just want information to find Gannon. After EPSO investigators seized Letecia's Volkswagen Tiguan on January 29th, 2020, she obtained a 2020 Nissan Altima. Investigators applied for and were granted a search warrant by this court to install a GPS tracker on the vehicle. Investigators monitored this tracking device, which provided particularly useful information on January 31st. A map with some of the data is included below. This information will be discussed below and relates to the area north of Palmer Lake and along Highway 105 South Perrier Park Road in Douglas County. In summary, investigators believe Letecia utilized a rented Nissan Altima to return to the area in which she disposed of Gannon's body. Indeed, investigators recovered a piece of a particle board from this area with Gannon's blood on it. This information will be discussed below in more detail. In more detail, there we go. There's a picture, there's the map. It's really hard to tell. You'd have to overlay it to see what it was, but it's got some timestamps and locations for the Altima. The fact that Letecia came back to this area on January 31st is significant, and investigators have not uncovered any evidence that Letecia has family or friends that live in that area, or any legitimate reason for her presence in that area other than to dispose of incriminating evidence. I submit a reasonable theory for the fact that Letecia returned to this area based on the information presented in this affidavit as follows. Letecia disposed of Gannon's remains at nighttime and likely was nervous about the location she chose, and may not have even remembered exactly where she dumped Gannon's remains. Investigators believe that on January 31st, she went back to the area to view the area while sunlight was available, to ensure no evidence was viewable from the road, to ensure his remains were adequately covered to prevent detection, and to see if any law enforcement was in the area. Investigators were able to, this is the exploitation of the Volkswagen Tiguan data. The investigators were able to remove a computer chip from the Letecia's Volkswagen Tiguan, which was examined by the FBI. The FBI was able to recover data, hereinafter raw data, which included, but is not limited to, the estimated location of the vehicle specifically related to the evening of January 28th and the morning of January 29th. The raw data has not been scientifically evaluated, and raw data that was provided was not portrayed to be an exact representation of the vehicle's activities. Additionally, I have been told that raw data has particular limitations, including the inability to show the exact location of the vehicle. For example, if the Tiguan was taken off-road, the raw data might not show that and display the estimated location on the nearest road. Furthermore, the estimated location may have some degree of fluctuation in accuracy and estimated to be approximately 50 to 100 meters. FBI agents, including Special Agent Donati, took steps to verify and corroborate the data recovered from the Tiguan. In summary, S.A. Donati was able to take some of the raw data, including location and timestamp, and compare it to other evidence. As with other forensic evidence discussed in this affidavit, investigators believe it to be reliable. For example, the Tiguan raw data placed the Tiguan leaving the Colorado Springs airport just after 1900 hours on January 28th. This information matched the timestamp on the January 28th Colorado Springs airport parking receipt to the Tiguan data. The Tiguan raw data indicated that the Tiguan stopped near King Soopers parking lot for approximately 10 minutes after leaving the airport between 2008 hours and 2018 hours. S.A. Donati was able to review video surveillance footage from that King Soopers, which indeed showed a dark SUV matching the description of the Tiguan sitting in the parking lot during that same period. Other footage, including video footage from a Wendy's restaurant in a separate location, helped to further corroborate the raw data. Of significant importance, the raw data showed the Tiguan in the area of Highway 105 South Perry Park Road between 21:15 hours and 21:30 hours on January 28th, and I've included a map depicting that data. The raw data also indicated the Tiguan stopped for approximately 5 minutes in an area proximate to the recovery of Gannon's blood on February 15th. This is the same area Letecia likely drove to in her Nissan Altima rental vehicle on January 31st. The recovery of Gannon's blood is in this area is discussed below. So we have the map of the Tiguan. Investigators were able to compare Letecia's historical cell site information, including NILOS data, against the Tiguan raw data and found no reason to believe that Letecia was not the driver of the Tiguan on January 28th. The continued evolution of Letecia's stories. Crazy starts up right here. Investigators conducted several consensually monitored telephone calls with Mr. Stauch. Specifically, Mr. Stauch, at the direction of law enforcement, communicated with Letecia via telephone and email. These communications have been recorded and memorialized and consisted of hours of recorded conversation. I will not provide a transcription of these calls, but will summarize the importance of particular changes in Letecia's story, and will also include exculpatory information related to Letecia's statements. Letecia never admitted to killing Gannon. For the purposes of refreshing the court, here is a summary of some of Letecia's statements, whether to law enforcement, directly through media, and or to Mr. Stauch in recorded email and voice communications. On January 27th, Letecia stated Gannon left to play at a friend's house and did not come home at 1800 hours like he was supposed to. On January 29th, Letecia stated she was held at gunpoint, raped, and Gannon was abducted by her rapist. Within Letecia's falsehoods, there are details corroborated by physical evidence that would be near impossible to know without being intimately involved in the murder. Letecia has made statements to explain blood on the walls in Gannon's bedroom, blood on the rear bumper of the Tiguan, blood in the garage of the Stauch residence. Details of the location of blood evidence has not been released to the media nor to Letecia and has been closely held throughout this investigation. Furthermore, Letecia has continued to provide alibis for her physical locations not previously disclosed to investigators. Her statements continue to evolve in a dramatic way and are remarkably different from the original report to El Paso Sheriff's Office. I'm trying to get the name right. For some reason, my brain just cannot say Stauch. Every time I'm reading fast, it just does not connect. Max says drinking word is Stauch. Yeah, Stauch. I apologize. I'll try to get it right. The majority of the conversations between Letecia and Albert Stauch, got it first time, Albert Stauch, began around February 13th. Over several days, Letecia's story continued to change. During a phone call on February 13th, Letecia stated that Gannon was burned by a candle to the point that his skin bubbled, and that Gannon peeled the burns off and wiped blood on his bedroom wall. Mr. Stauch did not ask about the blood on the walls of the room during this call. The fact she provided information about blood on the wall likely indicates her knowledge of the murder scene. On February 14th, Letecia had additional conversations with Mr. Stauch and provided 4 additional versions of Gannon's disappearance. Story 1. When El Paso Sheriff's Office came to the house on January 27th, the abductor was still in her residence and that she tried to signal the El Paso County Sheriff's deputies that there was somebody in the residence. It should be noted that EPSO deputies checked the entirety of the house and no additional persons were located during that search. Story 2. She was raped by Quincy Brown at her residence and Brown abducted Gannon. She knew Brown's identity because she saw a paper and his identification card fell out of his pocket that had his name on it. Letecia sent a photograph of Quincy Brown to Mr. Stauch via text message. It is noted this photograph mirrored images online where Quincy Brown was listed as most wanted suspect, discussed below. Story number 3. Quincy Brown followed her from Petco and at some point was laying in the middle of the road in front of her car. When Letecia stopped to avoid running the man over, he jumped into her car and made her take him home, then raped her. Story number 4. Letecia and Gannon were near County Line Road, Highway 105 in northern El Paso County on January 27th. Gannon was riding a bicycle in that area and fell off, hit his head, and was then abducted by Quincy Brown. In this version of the events, Quincy Brown was driven by a man named Terrence. Valentine's Day, February 14th, story number 4, has several interesting considerations. During the period of February 12th to 14th, it was public knowledge by virtue of media coverage that investigators were searching for Gannon in the area of Highway 105 in southern Douglas County near El Paso County line. Letecia brought this location up on her own without prompt during the conversation and provided an alibi for why she was in the area. Letecia was adamant that investigators' efforts to search for Gannon in the area would be futile. This area turned out to be significant based on the Tiguan's location on January 28th and that Gannon's blood was found in that area, discussed below in more detail. Furthermore, as mentioned above, Letecia drove through this area in her Nissan Altima rental vehicle on January 31st. I submit that based on raw data retrieved from the Tiguan, Letecia was likely in the area of Highway 105 on the evening of January 28th, and Gannon's remains were dumped in the vicinity of that area. Letecia's story lays the foundation for the reason why investigators may locate Gannon's body with head trauma. On February 15th, 2020, Letecia provided additional conflicting stories to Mr. Stauch, including that she told Albert Stauch about Gannon falling off the bike was a lie because it was what she believed he wanted to hear. Letecia stated the blood in the corner of Gannon's room was a combination of hers and Gannon's. In this explanation, she stated that the abductor, it's got some details involving rape of her and her son. Additionally, she was tied up at some point in the abduction, but the abductor was still present during the EPSO visit that night. Quincy Brown, age 37, was listed on El Paso County's most wanted list on February 10th, 2020. I was able to locate Brown's photo on the KKTV news website, where they describe Brown as a black male. It is noted that during one of Letecia's stories, she described her rapist as a Hispanic male. The photo on this website appeared to be the same photo Letecia sent to Mr. Stauch. Brown has outstanding arrest warrants for failure to register as a sex offender and failure to appear. These warrants appear to have been open since 2018. I was able to find a criminal history for Quincy Brown, which included but was not limited to a 2001 arrest for first-degree kidnapping in El Paso County court case, which was pled to felony menacing. Investigators have uncovered no evidence to support that Quincy Brown was involved in Gannon's disappearance. Gannon's blood is located in Douglas County, Colorado, on February 15th, 2020. As mentioned above, investigators began to focus a search effort for Gannon's remains in the area of Highway 105 South Perry Park Road in Douglas County. That was on February 12th. There is not an exact address to reference due to the rural nature of the area. This particular location was deemed important based on the raw data from the Tiguan on January 28th and the location data from a rental vehicle on January 31st. On February 15th, searchers located a piece of particle board during that search. The particle board had a stain that appeared to be consistent with blood and is pictured below. I have added a red circle to indicate the location of the blood stain. The particle board was collected by the FBI Evidence Response Team and transported to the Metro Crime Lab also on February 15th. An additional test revealed a positive presumptive result for the presence of human or high primate blood. Further testing was conducting, and a DNA profile was developed and compared to Gannon's on February 16th. That profile matched the DNA profile of Gannon Stauch and was documented in Metro Crime Laboratory reports. So there's the board and the circle on that. The reasonable explanation for the discovery of this particle board with Gannon's blood on it is that Letecia used this particle board during the disposal of Gannon's remains. The area in which the particle board was found is rural, and the ground is covered by approximately 6 to 12 inches of snow. Additionally, as the area is rural in nature, it is likely populated by wildlife, including predators such as bear, coyotes, and mountain lions. Gannon's remains have not been located, and while investigators will continue to search the area, it is possible those remains have been scattered since January 28th. The below map depicts the area where particle board was recovered, compared with raw data from the Tiguan's location, while idling for approximately 5 minutes. On January 28th, the GPS tracker data from the Nissan Altima on January 31st. And the GPS tracker data from Nissan Altima on January 31st. As noted above, the raw data of the Tiguan has estimated 50 to 100 meter variance. So you've got a map and an overlay. The board was found, I believe, on this pin. And you've got the GPS tracker and the Tiguan data They seem to probably be overlapping each other. A little bit of redaction on the wiretap information. Additionally, investigators are granted a pen register trap and trace device order, global positioning system pings, and cell site selector information. Investigators monitored Letecia's telephone and recorded hours of communication between Stauch and others. Each and every communication intercepted is not included within this affidavit. As during other portions of the investigation, Letecia continued to provide different stories to different people about Gannon's disappearance. Letecia provided false information to her sister and other family members, redacted, during which Letecia provided multiple different stories for what happened to Gannon. Several of these stories are discussed above. On a February 16th call about 1928, so that's almost 7:30 in the evening, Letecia told a female, believed to be Tila Cummings, that she had been giving Al numerous false stories because she knows he will not believe anything she says. On February 17th, at about 13:53 hours, Letecia told a female, believed to be associated with Laura Abernathy, that she was thinking about flying out to Colorado to take a lie detector test to prove her innocence. During that call, she stated, "They think I'm still in Colorado." On another February 17th call at about 16:11 hours, Letecia told an unknown female that she was going to take a lie detector test, but that the test is not admissible in court and no law enforcement would be present. Letecia attempted to obtain fake polygraph results. On February 18th, 2020, call at about 10:14 hours, Letecia called a number. I conducted research on that phone number and learned it was associated with fakepolygraph.com. During that call, Letecia stated that she never got a confirmation for a test she paid for. Letecia provided the spelling of her name, and before disconnecting the call, the unknown male stated he would resend the results to her email. I viewed the website fakepolygraph.com and found the following information. Fake polygraph test. Get a fully verified fake polygraph test certificate proving you have taken a real polygraph test. You choose the questions, location, and results. We send you a fully verified report within 1 business hour. The fake polygraph results are emailed from a local and real polygraph company. If your partner calls the authentic company or our team will confirm the test details. We are sure they will believe you. We have nationwide real polygraph companies in the following countries: UK, Ireland, Australia, USA, and Canada. And then it says 100% money back guarantee. No something between real and fake polygraph company. No link between real and fake polygraph company. Our polygraph reports are 3 to 4 pages and replicate a real report. The local polygraph company branding and contact details are the fake polygraph test report. The polygraph test results are emailed from a real polygraph company. That's a screenshot. Also on February 18th, 2020, at or about 11:16 hours, Letecia again called the same number. During this call, Letecia inquired about an email she received. The unknown male stated that her report was blocked by management based on the content of the questions and stated that with any illegal activities, they reserve the right to not send the report. Letecia's response was the following, quote, "What do you do now? Just delete it and go on about life and keep the money?" Mail at fakepolygraph.com replies, "Yes, we do indeed." Letecia, "Okay, I gotcha. Thank you. Goodbye." Investigations contacted Luke Devlin, utilizing the phone number that Letecia called. Mr. Devlin provided information to investigators, including the questions and answers that Letecia had provided. Letecia provided the following questions and answers that were supposed to be truthful to fakepolygraph.com. Do you intend to answer these questions regarding your stepson truthfully? Yes. Is your birthday August 4th? Yes. Did you participate in any way in causing harm to your stepson? No. Did your stepson return with you to your home? Yes. Did you participate in any way causing the death of your stepson? No. I submit to the court that if Letecia had nothing to hide, she would not have to pay for a fake polygraph results. Conclusion. We're almost done, guys. We're making it. You guys are doing amazing. No trial today, Amanda. They take Thursdays off, so we're just going to have this today. Based on data collected by the FBI and reported to the Journal of Forensic Sciences, I learned that in over 71% of homicide cases that involve false reporting, the reporting party is responsible for the murder. To be clear, the statistic is not being provided as sole probable cause for the requested warrant, but as an additional fact to be combined with others listed in this affidavit. Based on Letecia's internet history, it is reasonable to believe that she was unhappily married to Mr. Stauch and had some degree of resentment towards the family as a step-parent. Furthermore, days before Gannon's murder, Letecia appeared to be researching a move to another state to a 2-bedroom apartment. Letecia has not provided a fully truthful statement to investigators at any point during this investigation, particularly regarding the circumstances of Gannon's disappearance. This would reasonably be suspected activity of an individual that committed the crime under investigation, namely murder. Within approximately 24 hours of Gannon being reported missing, and without external prompt, Letecia made claims to law enforcement that she was being set up. Initially, Letecia and Gannon was playing with a neighborhood friend between approximately 1515 hours and 1600 hours and was expected home at 1800 hours. Within a few days, Letecia changed her story to label herself as the victim of rape, felony menacing with a weapon, and assault, resulting in Gannon's abduction by her rapist. Her stories continued to evolve to include a new location of Gannon's disappearance over 30 miles away, several completely different sets of circumstances, and unprompted explanations for why Gannon's blood would be found by investigators in key locations. Letecia was unable to provide a logical reason why she rented another vehicle while she still had access to the Tiguan. Based on the aforementioned facts, it is likely because it contained the remains of, or evidence of, Gannon's remains, based on positive reactions to luminol in the Tiguan on the bumper, indicating the likely presence of blood on the rear tailgate. A suspected blood sample from the interior of the trunk area returned a negative result for the presumptive presence of blood. Gannon's mattress has a large red stain on it that is consistent with blood. Based on the orientation of the mattress in the room, it appears that this is where Gannon's head and upper torso would have been. Below that same area, a substance that was confirmed as blood by the Metro Crime Laboratory soaked through the carpet, the pad, and stained the concrete. This blood matches the DNA profile for Gannon's Stauch. In the same area, blood samples taken from the wall, namely an electrical outlet, were also confirmed to match Gannon's DNA profile. Gannon's blood, again matched to his DNA profile, was also found on a piece of particle board in the area of Highway 105 South Perry Park Road in Douglas County. This particular area is consistent with Letecia's travels on January 28th and January 31st based on GPS tracker locations of her Nissan Altima rental vehicle and raw data from the Tiguan. During her stories to Mr. Stauch, without prompt, Letecia provided explanations for why blood would be found on Gannon's bedroom wall. Other than Letecia being present for Gannon's murder and being present for the cleaning of the murder scene, there is no reasonable explanation for how Letecia would know there was blood on Gannon's wall, as that evidence had not been released to the media. Again, without prompt, Letecia provided an alibi for why she was in the area where the particle board was recovered. By combing cell tower data, reviewing video surveillance, and home security logs, investigators believe, based on the evidence, that only 3 individuals with access to Gannon on the afternoon of January 27th were Letecia, Harley, and 8-year-old Lena. With the exception of Lena, who was not considered a suspect, it appears nobody other than Letecia was with Gannon at the Stauch residence between the hours of approximately 14:16 and 17:34 hours on January 27th, when investigators suspect Letecia murdered Gannon. Gannon has been missing for approximately 4 weeks, and there's been national news attention on major networks related to his disappearance. Local efforts, including posters, news coverage, search teams, and social media postings, have failed to locate Gannon. Aerial assets, infrared, FLIR technology, that's forward-looking infrared technology, and other extraordinary methods have been deployed to help locate Gannon. Over 200 volunteers have helped to search for Gannon, comprising thousands of man-hours in several different locations. Additionally, although the EPSO has received hundreds of tips, nobody has provided information that has led to Gannon's location. His family and friends have not heard from him, and Gannon is only 11 years old with no financial resources. Letecia Stauch was the last person to see Gannon alive. Investigators have not located Gannon's remains at this point in time, although the search continues. As additional time increases without locating Gannon, the more likely it is that Gannon is not alive. Based on the facts set forth above, I submit probable cause exists to believe that on or about January 27th, 2020, within the state of Colorado and within El Paso County, Letecia Stauch committed the offenses in violation of Colorado revised statutes to include murder in the first degree, child under 12, precision of trust, child abuse resulting in death, tampering with deceased human body, and tampering with physical evidence. Therefore, your affiant respectively requests the issuance of an arrest warrant charging the same. Signed, applicant Jessica Bethel, El Paso County Sheriff's Office, and she's a detective. Ooh, phone's ringing, as if right on cue.
Call from Mr. Upper Torso.
Mr. Upper Torso, your voice does not quite match your name.
Yeah, I know. It's a surprise. I'm actually a lady. It's my little trick to get away from any, default sexual harassment on the internet. Just going Mr. in front of any name.
Works great, and nobody can tell.
Before you start, it's my understanding that you have a fair amount of legal expertise. Can you, before you give us anything?
It's very casual.
Okay. Can you let us know what
I certainly don't work in it. Sure. I'm mostly more of an artist than anything, but now I'm falling into a lot of psychology and really just philosophy. But I've been into trials since I was really young, 13, when it was still, sorry, I'm a little nervous.
You're fine.
I don't usually call in. It's like a little radio show or something. Mostly just watching trials like on old cable networks like Forensic Files and A&E, and I just kind of began to really like just watching. It's so boring, yet at the same time it teaches you a lot about just the undercurrents of how things work, and really it's a protection for myself. If the law ever were to come for me because I either did something wrong or got caught up in something, I mean, you never know. I just want to feel slightly prepared. So it is very selfish, and I don't think it would be a good idea for me to ever be professionally responsible for someone else's life or damages. So
I feel
it's
the
just
same.
casual, but I love being able to try to throw in what I think I know. Yeah. And I watch a lot of other lawyers on YouTube, so sometimes I hear what they say and kind of parrot it.
Great. Well, tell me your take on this. You probably listened to all this morning. I think you were here early. So what's your take on this PCA?
Yeah, I think most of the chat is kind of on the side of this is very deliberate. Everything she did after the fact is very deliberate. But the chat's also had a couple little things that I was thinking about that kind of made me question her insanity defense. I'm not too sure if she's claiming that she was just temporarily insane for that, 1 hour where the murder happened and then she came to and everything's okay again, or she's still insane. I don't know what her defense is saying, and you would defend those two positions in very different ways,
yes.
And she would act very different. Like if she truly loved Gannon before she murdered him and did go legally insane the way I would say Austin Haroff did, that's a really good case if you want to see what I think legal insanity actually looks like. She would be absolutely consumed with guilt after realizing what she did. Even if she didn't want to admit that she did kill him, you would see the emotion. You would see she would be so disgusted with herself, she wouldn't be able to live with herself. That's not what she's playing. She's playing this emotionless sort of, it's not like she's playing totally crazy, but that seems like the thing she's going for. She's just trying not to react.
Yeah, I would think it would be harder to prove just a selective temporary insanity. That's very difficult, and I think she's going for the broader. Not sane. We see that a little bit in the cross-examination of her husband Al. Really, the only areas they focused on were things that talked about her behavior. That seemed to be the directions. They're trying to show that she was crazy, and she said she was crazy, or he said she was crazy to someone, and the daughter would say she's crazy, that sort of thing. So I think that's what they're headed for. She's claiming a dissociative identity disorder, multiple personalities, says Rockin' Dawkins.
And I mean, if that's what they're saying the psychosis episode was, I can see that. But that's kind of why I think we're all getting that feeling of this this DID sort of episode. It does seem like just this sudden, random little criminal personality came out of nowhere, and now she's trying to say, well, that's not me. And it really, you kind of see this with cases like Chris Watts or Family Annihilators and things where they're desperately just trying to save face. They know what they've done and they feel no guilt about what they've done, but they don't want the public to think they're a bad guy. And I think Letecia's in this phase where she's completely up against the wall. Even she knows there's no way she can still claim that I wasn't there, I didn't actually kill him. Yeah. She's now got herself into a new mindset of, well, it wasn't really me. This is not who I really am. I still am this good, perfect person that she, in my opinion, was presenting to the world. I'm not a psychiatrist. I can't diagnose her, but you do see a little bit of overlap with the way Amber Heard acted. There's something going on. But having a personality disorder, it's like what Judge Doro said with Darrell Brooks. It's not the same as being criminally insane. People can have personality disorders and still know right from wrong.
Yep. I think what we see from her actions is that she has a knowledge of right and wrong.
Absolutely.
That she was covering things, making lies to explain things. It seems that her brain was working very well and was aware of what was right and what wasn't.
Absolutely. And I mean, we look at this and we're like, this is a bad plan. You read the affidavit and you see how much she had to change her story because she realized she was getting caught up, but she was still trying to stay ahead. So even if she's coming up with bad explanations, she's still thinking about it. She's still crafting it to relate to the new information she thinks she's going to come out. I think the part where the affidavit around the end talks about how she brought up reasons why Gavin's blood would be in the bedroom, in the garage, on the particle board at the side of the road, with ever-evolving stories without being prompted with that evidence. She knew that evidence was there, and I think she feared the cops would find it, and suddenly she has to change her story, so she tries to get ahead of it. And that's planning. And I think, I'm so sorry I forgot her name, but the mother who called in yesterday with the schizophrenic son, when you see it, when you see actual mental illness, you know. There's a disconnect there. You know, their eyes almost seem to be glazed. They look through you. I had a little bit of experience with my father. It never got violent, but I've seen it. It's really hard to fake. Yeah. And sorry, I may seem like I'm getting emotional, but I'm not. I've just got a bit of a cold. Who was the Parkland shooter? You see him try the same thing in his interrogation. He plays crazy at first.
Yeah, and
but
you can tell it's an act. Yep.
It's an act. It's very cinematic. That's the way I described also Amber Heard's hysterics on the stand. I'm like, this feels dramatic. It feels like a movie. This is not how it happens in real life.
Switched on and off type thing.
Yeah.
It's very deliberate. It's planned. It's almost like ready,
and
set,
there's all
go.
These big extravagant details. I mean, I hate to say it. I really hate that I now kind of see this side of society, but it really does seem, based on how she lost her how her North Carolina teaching license was suspended, and Al's story about how he had to switch over from Alaska. Yep. It really does seem like Letecia has a habit of, claiming victimhood via rape anytime something starts to press on her. Yep. Either she's uncomfortable with something or she's being called out on something. And it's like there's a habit there. And I don't think the jury's going to buy it. It's going to be unfortunate that we have to sit through about an 8-week trial. Mostly, I think a lot of it's going to be her self-incriminating statements. She gave interviews to the media. I know she talked to cops at some point, but I don't think those interrogations have been released yet. We'll probably see them in court. Mm-hmm. But she talked a lot. Yeah. She talked a lot.
There's a lot of video. There's security camera footage all over the place. There's cell phone recordings. There's going to be a lot of media introduced into this trial for sure.
Yeah, so that's going to be, I think, a good amount of the evidence just to show her state of mind around the crime. And then also they're, of course, going to have their own experts to counter her insanity defense. So that's going to have to add a little bit of time. But they may save that for rebuttal because, it shifts the burden a little bit. The state has the burden to prove guilt, but now that she's claimed insanity, she has the burden to prove that she's insane.
Yes.
So
it's an affirmative
the state
defense.
may wait until rebuttal.
That rests on her shoulders now. So just like
exactly.
with self-defense,
yeah, it's like
you have to prove it. Yep.
Yeah.
Mr. Upper Torso, Mrs., I guess. I don't know. Upper Torso. Mr. Upper Torso, thank you so much for calling in. Adam says you'll always be Mr. to me.
Oh, that's fine, yes. And I don't know if you still have time, but I sent you that little follow-up, an additional probable cause thing, because Letecia wasn't done after she got arrested the first time. Right. She still had some plans. Yeah, but I don't know if you have time. So.
I'm not sure if I have voice. I'm already detecting that I'm losing my voice. That's right. So we might have to save it. So long. Yeah, but
fair enough.
But thank you very much. Appreciate you calling in. Great insight as well.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for taking my call.
Anytime.
I'll be in the chat.
All right. Bye.
See ya. Bye.
Awesome. All right. Let's see. We have some new people here. Thank you to all those who've clicked the subscribe button. It's awesome to see the channel grow and be here with you. We've passed 11111. We're up to 11,146 members. I appreciate that. That means the world to me. Let's see. Any other questions we can answer here about this? Is this PCA online somewhere? I missed the first half of it. Well, this will be live. If you want to watch when we're done, you can go back and rewatch that. The document itself, it's a tough read, and unlike all PCAs, it's like a copy of a copy of a copy. This is the least clear version is what we get through the court system and the scanning system. It is available if you do some searches under the case name. I think if you pull up, let's go up here to the top, right here. Let's scroll up through all this, way up, not there. Don't want to accidentally start playing music. Sorry about that. Okay, we're at the top, waiting for it to load. There we go. Where's the case number? was probably at the very bottom, wasn't it? Oh, here we go. Right here. This case number, if you search for El Paso County Sheriff's Office and that case number and documents, the web will bring that up. It's 20, and the 20s for the year for 2020. So 2020, 1382 is the case number, and that should pull up everything you need. But I think Amber, I don't know if you want to put the links. Amber's a couple of people actually linked to me the documents for the court. Let's see. There's a video of the explosion story on YouTube. Can't recall the channel, either Fox or Detroit. I think that one's different. How long's the trial meant to last? They say 8 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, Karen, and that is so long. But they gathered information from everywhere. We're going to see this in like 7 different angles from security cameras and cell phone recordings, and they've got all this information gathered together. Mr. Opatorso, you did fabulous. Great job calling in for a first-time caller as well. You were like a pro. Okay. The court case number is different. Thank you, Little Miss. I apologize. My brain is numb now after reading. If somebody can link the documents, I think they're on Discord. That's probably the best place to do it. If you anytime you type ! Discord in chat, it will put up this link for the As the Gavel Drops Discord page. Not my page, but the owners of the Discord page have allowed us to use that page and access that and become part of their community as well. So if you want to find it in Discord, they're going to have everything over there as well, as far as these documents. No dead horse, unbeaten. Yes, thank you, Mr. Harpootlian. 20 CR 1358, is that the right number? Okay, so I think if you search that and look for court documents, that will bring up a couple links. They'll bring you there. There's at least like 3 pages of documents, and there's a lot. There are tons. We just covered one of the documents. Does she have to pay lawyers' fees? These are court-appointed lawyers, which means she's not paying the fees. This is paid for by your tax dollars, or Colorado citizens' tax dollars. My voice is fading. I might need to rest for the rest of the afternoon. This is a bad thing because Mrs. R.A. and I were discussing doing a live stream on her channel this afternoon, and if my voice is gone, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do it. But we'll see if we can do that today. We'll give it some rest. There are 3 different links in for her case, but yes, all on Discord. Thank you, Amber. Discord's probably the best place to go because it has this case and all the others. Yes, we could go over letters to court. I think I'm probably going to try to cover letters to court when court starts, because they start later in the day. So it's like 11 o'clock Eastern time start time for us. So we might have some time in the morning where typically we can get together and hang out, and we'd be able to cover a letter or something before trial each day. So we might start adding that to the pre-trial coverage. Today, there's not going to be any court in this case. The court is open, but it's conducting business related to other cases, and they do that every Thursday. They have like certain types of cases they handle on Thursday, and so they're doing that. They've cleaned out the courtroom. All the evidence has been locked away in cabinets. The jurors' notes has all been put away. All the binders and laptops and plugs and wires and everything, it's all been moved out. They do that every single Thursday, and then they'll start again on Friday. So we will have court on Good Friday tomorrow. I need to pass for the rest of the day for live action. It's Masters Week, which is my week. I'll check back for a replay. All right, enjoy Masters Week. Some good action there. Is her mental evaluation going to be the defense-only witness? Yes, Jennifer. That's what I will go over that. Some of the documents you're going to be able to find on the court page is the list of defense witnesses. And when I accessed it, to the best that I can see, there's only one, and it's a doctor. It's a doctor that's gonna testify that she is not sane. That's the only witness she has. Text to speech instead. The text is so blurry. It's hard to see. Mrs. R.A. site is Homeschool Ground Zero. I added her as a friend of the channel. So if you go to the thank you, Mr. Bailiff. If you go to the my channel page and scroll down, you'll see friends of the channel. You'll see Ivan and Ivan here, who's linked or told you about my wife's channel as well. It's a homeschool channel, so if you're interested in homeschooling, that's what it talks about. It's Homeschool Ground Zero on YouTube. Why are they saying this will take 4 weeks? They're saying it's going to take 6 to 8 weeks, probably because there's so many calls, so much data, so many videos, so many interviews, so much expert testimony, and so much evidence that it covers multiple states as they're covering all this. You want a new costume every morning, AJ? Oh man, I don't think I can do that. I still have a feeling Letecia will want to testify. Ivan, that would be a train wreck. Just absolute train wreck. It probably worse than Darrell Brooks testifying. If that had ever happened. It was so close. Are there more calls? Hope there are more calls. They're not going to introduce them through the husband. He's done. He's been excused as a witness. They're going to introduce them through some of the investigators that were there prompting him to say certain things on the calls and some other witnesses that way. But there will be more phone calls. More crazy between the husband and Letecia. KT, heart goes out to you. Love that there was a good service with lots of people supporting them in your friend's memory. Let's see. I noticed you did some house cleaning on your YouTube page. Looks great. MCAT, that was all my wife. That was Mrs. R.A. that did that. After being taught how to do it by Matthew Harris from Matthew Harris Law, PLLC. There's my wife's page right there. Thank you for linking that. Can you send the video for Discord? I think we just need to have somebody tag it. You can share a timestamp in a video, and I have not done that. I said I would. I forgot to put it on my list, and I didn't do that. We did a video early in the morning. I'll have to go back and find where that video was. Maybe Amber can help me. You'll have to check your call log to see when you called in that morning or zoomed in. Yeah, we'll have to find that and post that separately. Thought questions from the jury were great, especially regarding the smell of any cleaning products. It's interesting to be able to see what they're thinking, and the questions sort of give us an insight into that. Should file a motion to represent herself. Yes, but you can't do that when you're claiming not guilty by reason of insanity. So that's why she pulled that. I think anyone claims insanity, all video and recording should be played for the jury to decide. I think we'll hear them all, for sure. When did she say for the first time that she had DID? Does anyone know? I'm very curious. Squirrel. It was a recent filing. I think as recent as February that they changed that was going to be her defense, or that was when she was. That's when she wanted to represent herself. So I think it would be after that. It's very, very recent. The expert that did the analysis and said she's insane. I think that happened just weeks ago. Okay. I'm so kind of wonderful for reading this today. Thanks, Kiefer. It was a long one. I'm going to need to rest my throat for a little while. We've got somebody calling in. Let's see who's on the burner phone.
Call from Micah Ruddle.
Micah, how are you doing today?
Hey, Scott. How are you?
Doing fabulous.
Oh, my goodness. I am so excited I get to talk to you.
I'm excited that you're on the phone. What do you have to say today?
I know. Hey, I think I ran into a little bit of a problem.
Okay.
I am unable to see, like, when I type in, like, a comment in your chats, I don't think you're getting them.
You might have inadvertently been put in the bad list. Let's see. It happens sometimes. When chat goes really fast, sometimes we try to correct things, and the wrong people get put in a timeout. So let me see if you might be on that list here. And this is the proper use.
I woke up at like 2 a.m. I woke up this morning. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize it because I can see my comments, but then you always answer comments, or most of the time,
I tried.
Like, I bet you something is wrong.
You were listed on the naughty list, so either you were naughty. I'm not saying you weren't, or Copenhagen says naughty, but you were there, and I fixed it. So if you try now, you should be able to chat and be in there. And thank you. This is a perfect example of what the burner phone is good for. No, it's
yeah. And I was waiting for your number to pop up because like I would put exclamation burner and it still would not work.
Yeah, it completely blanked you out. All right. Well, you're in now. Well, if it comes back, if there's a problem, let me know. Sometimes, like if there was a live stream where that setting was set, and I copy the settings from that one for the next live stream, it might bring it back, even though you're not in timeout now. So it's you should be good to go. If anyone else has the same situation, reach out to me. Odds are it was probably done on accident. So chat gets busy, it goes fast.
Well, hey, I really, 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 really like your channel, and I think you're such an amazing person. And thank you so much for being who you are.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Appreciate you giving me a call. Save the burner number, so in case there's a problem, you can call back. Will. All right. Thank you, Micah.
Sir.
Appreciate you.
Okay, we'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Accidents happen. Well, I'm not perfect. I do apologize for that. Who's on the naughty list? Not you, because you can see your chat. So, good. We've got. I think Micah's here back now in chat. Yes, we accidentally had a couple other people earlier that had that same problem. But when chat gets, I think we've had like 4,000 people in chat at one time. Usually it happens during a verdict of a big case. So like Zachariah Anderson verdict, it just was nuts. And even it's like slowing chat, it was just like a blur going by. And so when there's something that's inappropriate, we try to clear it out because that can affect the channel in a negative way if it's left up. And if you accidentally click on the wrong one or think you get it and unblock it, it might block somebody else. And there's no undo button for the mods. They can try to get somebody who's a troll and needs to be removed. And no, you're not on the list. Lucia, you're not on the list. Anyway, it's a little tricky that way, and that's why we say please don't be offended if for some reason you find yourself timed out. It might not have been your comment. It might have. If it was your comment and you get like a 300-second timeout, it might just be just a heads up. It's like, hey, maybe let's steer the conversation back towards the trial or take a breather. You might be pushing a certain discussion with someone a little bit further than we need to in chat. But that's it. We don't really use the ban hammer very much, and when we do, it's for people who really need it. And if it accidentally happens to you, we can fix it. There's Micah. I see you. Okay, it's working. It's working. Thank you very much. Appreciate your support, and thanks for calling in. All right. Anybody else that needed to call or wants to share something? Valerie says, so glad I found this channel. Just unsubscribed from Law and Crime monthly subscription. Valerie, that's funny. I'm glad you're here. We do follow a lot of the same trials that they do. But I think we have a different community here than they have. And it's because we've got amazing people like yourself. Let's see. Melody, good morning to you. I don't see if I'll get myself on the bad list when I accidentally swear next call. No, the calls don't get you on the bad list. That won't do it. You have to put it in chat. And I realize we use the YouTube filter to stop a lot of really bad words from coming in. Somebody, hey, it's Amber. Amber, can you hear me?
Love your show.
I can hear you.
All right, and I can hear you too. That works.
As the super chat came in, it scared the daylights out of me.
I even had the volume turned down. Thank you very much, Sandra Vital, for the super chat. Amber, we got through the PCA. At least that PCA. Yep. Sorry, I talked over you.
Hello.
I can hear you, but you got really quiet. And now she got even quieter. Let's try it again. She's back. Amber, can you hear me now? Nope.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I heard you say hello, and it got really quiet, and then you hung up. But I promise I was talking.
Well, I know, because I was watching you talk to me, but I couldn't hear anything. So now that you have gotten through the entire PCA, you usually ask what our thoughts are.
Yes.
I'm curious what your thoughts are now that you've gotten through the entire PCA.
That's a good question. My first thought is if I drink more water, I'm going to need a sooner break. But other than that, wow, just the layer upon layer of lies everywhere. Just everyone she talked to, she lied to. And it blows my mind, just the craziness of the lies. In one phone call, there were 4 different stories to her husband. It does. I say crazy. I say the term crazy. I think it's crazy that somebody would do that. But I at the same time, all her actions, everything she's done that we have evidence, that we have timestamps or cell phone recordings of, or a ping from the car or something like that. All that shows sane, just evil, right? And so you've got crazy lying to cover it up, and evil actions on the other, and. I don't think she's insane. I really don't. I don't know how they'd be able to look at all the actions she's done, all the planning out of which car and getting a rental and having a story to cover that, and have a car over there and an excuse for why it's not there, and sending people to go help and make sure kids don't come in and see anything. There's so many balls up in the air during this whole thing that she's juggling and doing a good job of. Not excellent, but a good job. She's not like a professional murderer, but she's no Dexter, right? but she's does a good job knowing what she has to think of, and okay, they're going to know that there's evidence up there, so I'm going to need a story to say why I was there. In her head, this must be spinning like crazy, and it screams sane, but at the same time, she's crazy to think anyone's going to believe it.
Right. So I have kind of a partial theory that I haven't completely formulated. I think she was at one time a true crime nut.
Uh-oh.
If you think about all of the different things that she thought of to create this story, and then the different things that she... That was very appropriately timed.
Yes.
Judy.
So she basically had seen this play out on TV or on the internet and knew what to think of. I mean, she asked, can you track this device, that device? How do you get rid of the son's phone? Or can all her YouTube or her Google searches done on her son's phone instead of hers? And just the layers that she was trying to hide what she was doing.
Right. So the timeline I sent over to you, it actually all came from the PCA. It eliminates all of the extra details and aligns everything together as opposed to jumping all around in the different scenarios like it did. Mm-hmm. So if you were to look at that timeline, it actually pulls up where she leaves her phone at home. Why was she using Gannon's phone to do searches? And it was a period in between certain words instead of a space. It was a period. So certain things that she did meticulously, so it wasn't left on anything that was tied to her. It didn't have her name on it. Like Gannon's phone. It wasn't her phone. It was Gannon's phone. Nobody would think about Gannon's phone and her using Gannon's phone. So, and her phone is turned off. Somebody was mentioning earlier in the chat about how was she getting the different vehicles. So in the recordings, and I don't know if anybody caught it in the PCA or from the PCA, Scott, you may or may not remember, because reading so much like that all at one time, you tend to just kind of go on autopilot. So in that PCA, it actually breaks down the timing of the vehicle. So yesterday's phone calls, we heard those 4 different stories, and is it a Tallulah? Is that how you say it?
I
think
car?
It's Tallulah. Yeah, her car that she used.
I thought it was a Tiguan or something.
Or Tiguan or something. Yeah, something like that. You know what I mean. Okay. So her vehicle, she told her husband that she left on the premises of the school that she was teaching at. But in all actuality, it was clocked into short-term parking at the airport in the 8 o'clock hour just before she goes to Avis Rental and picks up the Nissan.
Yeah.
That she picks up her husband, who says it's odd that she was in a rental, because the story that she told was that she didn't want to put the additional miles on her vehicle when she only drove a total of 71 miles in the rental.
Yeah, the story didn't add up for Al. It just didn't sound right. I think that's where he started smelling something was fishy.
Right. So in that timeline, it actually gives you where she, like, how she did it all, like how she managed to get from one vehicle to the next. Now, Harley was the one that ended up picking her up from certain places, but I don't necessarily think Harley had anything to do with it. But I would be curious as to what Harley knew as to why she was going to pick her mom up from X location.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, here's what we do. I've got the timeline you emailed me. My voice is shot for today, or else I'd cover it today. But we're probably going to start at 9 a.m. In future days of trial and sort of cover some of these documents, either the timeline or some of the letters she's written, things like that, as we wait for Colorado to catch up with the rest of the country and start the court during the day. So I think we might cover it tomorrow. Let me read through it and see if I can cover it in a logical way for me tomorrow, and we might share that with everybody, because you sent that to me on the email. I've got it right here. And I think it will sort of put the pieces together that aren't easily connected with the PCA in the format that we read it in. So,
because the PCA kind of groups certain sections together, like this particular event, or this component and this component, and it jumps back and forth. So what I did was I combined it all. So whatever was done on the 27th in all of those situations is all listed on the 27th with the time, if it, the timestamp, if they are appropriate.
Yeah.
So it lists everything chronologically, not necessarily by how they found it or at what point they found it.
Yeah.
So
and the best part about it is it's not 32 pages long. So.
No, it's not. It's much shorter. But I had to do that for myself to kind of figure everything out, and I did that last night. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, it looks good. I think we'll go over it tomorrow morning, and then we'll start looking into our letters as well. I'm not sure how much we'll have time for tomorrow before court starts, but we'll try to get that taken care of then.
Her letters are way crazy. I mean, Sarah Boone looks like a complete professional.
Are they handwritten? I haven't even looked at one of them. Are they handwritten and you can read them?
They are. Mm-hmm.
Does she have neat penmanship?
Kinda.
Okay. Well,
sure.
I've got some penmanship reading skills, so I think we'll be okay. But I look forward to those.
I think with her letters, some of her, and for those that are in the chat and know about certain mental health conditions and have experience with that, her letters actually show different characteristics of herself.
That might be
her
very
handwriting
telling.
is different now. Is it insanity different? No, but you can see the differences in her mentality, how she's thinking, what her emotions are.
Yeah.
In her penmanship. It's very, very interesting from the psychological point of view.
Okay, I'm looking forward to those then, very much. Wendy, we're going to start at 9 a.m. tomorrow Eastern time, and start with probably this timeline, and maybe if we have time, get into some of her letters. So we'll get that prepped. I just missed a call, Amber. I wanted to let somebody else on. Is there anything else you wanted to say before we let go?
Nope, that was it. I'll hop off so everybody else can call in.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate your help, and thank you so much for the timeline. All right.
No.
We'll see you. Bye. All right, whoever it was that just called, available. We'd love to hear you call back. That would be great. I'll try to take the call. Let's see. Wonder if Harley may have helped her toss the suitcase. She had to have helped lifting it. Tower Hill Girl. I don't know what we're going to find out from Harley. As we look at the PCA, it says Harley has not been cooperating. But that was when they first arrested Letecia. Since then, things might have changed quite a bit. Okay, does burner phone work when calling from Ireland? It does. Unfortunately, it costs you money, Darcy. I hate to have. I wish I had an international solution that wouldn't cost any money for anyone calling from overseas. But the numbers there, we had a couple calls from Taiwan yesterday, so it does happen. It does work internationally. Court is back tomorrow at 9 a.m. Agnes Sky. 9 a.m. Colorado time. Which is 11 a.m. Eastern time. So we're gonna cover some other things first thing in the morning on Friday. Let's see, there's a call.
Call from Heidi.
Is it Heidi? Heidi, that's the recovery addict.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Hold on a second. I want to put this down so we don't get any echoes or anything. Hold on.
Yep.
Here you go.
All right. Is that better?
So one of the reasons I called was because I have a family member that had, still has schizophrenia. He's definitely diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. Mm-hmm. I've been a nurse for many, many years, 30 years. I just retired recently in this, just like a month ago. I get to see a lot of mentally ill people. And one thing I can tell you is it's not easy to fake mental illness. And right. You can see when they're faking it. You really can. I worked in a trauma center for many years, and we would get people who would try to fake things. And there's definitely ways you can figure that out. People are you can, if you watch a lot of TV and you watch a lot of crime, you can figure out ways, ways to try to fake it.
Yeah, and we've seen some videos where it's very clear that someone's faking mental illness of some sort.
Definitely. Other people are better at it, but there's different types of mental illness. Mm-hmm. Sociopaths and narcissists and psychopaths are very, very in tune on what's going on. I mean, you look at people like Bundy and who pretty much had a normal life, the BTK guy, normal, as normal as can be, but they have a hidden side. Yeah. And they definitely are, not mentally ill because they are. Definitely, I think you have to be mentally ill to do the things that people do. But what kind of mental illness is that? It's not an insanity. Yeah. People can't just turn on and off insanity. Yeah, and I'm calling from South Florida, so I'm definitely in tune with what happened with the Parkland shooting.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
That was awful.
That guy was trying to fake it. Yep. Definitely. There's no doubt he has some sort of mental disturbance, but not insanity.
Yeah, whatever he has is not prevent him from knowing right and wrong and being able to be held accountable for his actions. So
when you plan something and you figure out how to do it, how to dispose, that takes a lot of mental figuring out. Yeah. You cannot be insane when you do that. You just can't.
Well,
so I wanted to say I love your show.
Thank you very much, Heidi. Thanks for calling in. I think it's the first time I've talked to you. I appreciate you calling in and sharing your insights with that perspective. So,
anytime you want to, I'm HMS 1959 one.
HMS 19. We'll look for you in chat. So, thank you so much, Heidi. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
You too. Bye bye.
I did see a comment go by here telling me to use WhatsApp. Here's my dilemma, Jujubee. I use WhatsApp for some other family and church-related stuff, and I don't think I could separate the two out. So I need them to be separate. So I love WhatsApp. I do use that, but I don't know if I could isolate the two so I could have my channel use a specific WhatsApp. I need another burner phone, like an actual burner phone, to run WhatsApp. But I'll look at that and see what we can do to figure out a solution for international calls, because it does. I don't want anyone to have to pay any money to talk to me. First of all, that just seems strange, but we'll see if we can get a solution worked out eventually. Thank you. I am using the pink mug today. Let's see, True Crime Addict mug with the Darrell Brooks objection overruled grounds on the back. Its water's delicious. Okay, I think we're all a little crazy, but we can understand the basic rules of society. That's pretty much how it works. It's how crazy are people on the scale. Everyone's at least a 1, right? Discord has a free voice app. I haven't been really happy with the quality of Discord as far as the audio. Maybe it's because I'm using my computer for so many other things at the time that it's fighting for CPU space. But can a mod post RA's address? Suzanne, you can type anytime you want. You can type PO box ! PO box in the chat, and it will respond with the PO box number. There it is, right there. It's address. Sorry, Calypso, Vixen, Amber. Thank you. I thought it was PO box, but it's ! Address, and it will respond with the post office box. My water gets filtered through coffee grounds. You need to make sure it's extra pure. WhatsApp has a business account. I might have to look at that. I would like to have the ability to have multiple calls or multiple lines. It gets really expensive to do VoIP that way. It is like a business phone system is what I'd end up with. And at that point, I might need to hire a receptionist. Okay. Michael DeVito says, Scott, can I have the nutshell update on this trial? Now we've got the hiccups from so much water. Yes. Let me come back to you first. I have StreamYard, and I can use that. It's very easy to bring multiple people in as guests that way. I also have the ability to, set things up to using hardware. This hardware here does a similar thing. The only problem is StreamYard does not like systems that use hardware to handle audio and video, and it's difficult to get because it wants to run everything on a laptop. It wants to do the video encoding. It wants to do the blending, the super source of all the pictures and the overlays and whose windows are where. It wants to do all that on the laptop. And for me, it's not very effective. My hardware is better at doing it than a laptop is. And so getting that to work with StreamYard has been the challenge. I'll get there, though. I'm paying for the subscription. I need to figure it out eventually. So, Michael, a quick nutshell update on this trial. We've got Letecia Stauch, who is the stepmom of Gannon Stauch. Gannon's biological dad goes out on orders. He's with the Army National Guard or something like that, or the Army. I don't remember what military group he's with. He's a recruiter for them, and he goes out. He's on orders. He goes travels away for a little bit. During the time that he's away, in just a few days, things go bad at home, and Gannon gets burned. The carpet gets burned. Possibly from the same incident or possibly not. I don't understand. It seems fishy to me that the story that she's telling about Gannon to the dad about how both his arms got burned from this candle, it doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. And consistent with all her other stories, I think it's a lie. So I think he was probably abused and burned with the candle intentionally. Then there's him staying home from school, and he's got some stomach issues and things like that, and basically he, over the course of these couple days, ends up dead and then missing, and the stories from Letecia just are prevalent and all over the place, and just lie after lie, just bizarre lies. And the community steps up in a big way. They come out, they're trying to search, they're trying to do everything. She doesn't participate in the searches. She's telling different stories to different people, talking to the media and the police and the husband, and just it's just wrong from every vantage point. There's indication that his body, Gannon's body, was in the house the time the police first showed up, when she first called and said, "My son's missing. He was at a friend's house and didn't come home." That he may have been in the body, and the police were probably feet from him, and didn't look either in the suitcase that may have been in the trunk or in the suitcase that may have been behind some boxes or something. They didn't do a thorough search in the garage area, and and could have, potentially found his remains at that point, because I believe he was dead at that time. But as a result, that he was not found for quite a while after. This happened in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Eventually his remains were dumped just north up on the address, that 105 South road that we were talking about in this rural area. A couple days later, she goes back with another vehicle, picks up the remains or digs up the remains. I'm not sure if she buried or not, but this would be wintertime, so probably buried in the snow. Digs up the remains and loads them up and brings them back to the house. And then we've got, it's not covered in the PCA yet, but at some point she rents a U-Haul and drives 1,300 miles to Florida, and ends up dumping the remains in a suitcase off of an overpass over in a bridge. And then those remains are found later by a crew that's inspecting the underpass. They're using their hardware and looking, and they say, hey, that's weird. There's a suitcase down there. They're like, hey, we'll go check it out. And they check it out and open it, and there's Gannon's remains, and the blankets, possibly even his switch might be in there. We'll find out if that was there. So that's the short of it. She has been a little crazy as far as this trial goes. She wanted to represent herself, which is always crazy. And then eventually has some public defenders assigned to her case. The poor guys, they've admitted in the opening that they've lost, that she's guilty. He did a little stunt where he just about walked out of the courtroom during his opening statement, trying to get the attention of the jury. The jury, we know that some of the jury wouldn't even make eye contact with him, that they're not happy. They sort of already got a feel for how this case is going to go, having already heard the opening statements from the other side. And anyway, so the defense is that she is not guilty by reason of insanity, and so we'll see as that plays out over 8 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks.
Why do we think oldest daughter isn't cooperating?
Let me answer that one first. First, let me hit a Little Miss. Congratulations, member, for 3 months. Yay! It's my birthday. Thank you, Scott, for giving me a new family, and thank you for accepting me and my demon puppy into your loving arms. It's your birthday. I think you're talking about your 3-month birthday. Is that right? Or is it actually your birthday, Little Miss? We did sing happy birthday to everyone at the beginning. Sorry if I missed that. Aaron Blacken, why do we think the oldest daughter isn't cooperating? At the point we are at in the trial, as we're gaining information, she's not cooperating. She may, currently in time, she may have cooperated and might be a witness that the state will present. But in the time we're at, where we just read the PCA, the probable cause affidavit, where they still hadn't found his body at the time, and they wanted to arrest Letecia. At that point, the police say Harley is not cooperating, and she's refusing to cooperate. So that's where we're basing that from. It may have changed since then. 3 months on the channel birthday. That's still a birthday to celebrate a little bit, so we can. We'll do a little mini song. There you go. Happy birthday, Little Miss, on the 3-month birthday for the channel. Great supporter. Let's see. What happened in the breakup revenge? I've not followed that one, Kathleen. Also, another horrible story. From what I gather, you've got a breakup where instead of killing the ex, you kill the ex's daughter. Is that, or the ex's child? It's another crazy case. But I'm sure that has changed. I think she's probably is cooperating if she's listed on the witness list. Let's see. Wendy, congrats on 11K. Thank you so much, Wendy. It's super exciting to see the community grow, and you guys are absolutely amazing. Harley had a GoFundMe, stated she lost both of her parents and needed a car. Wow. She was a juvenile at the time this happened, and now she's an adult. So she's in an area where, at the time all these things happened, at the time of the PCA, she was a juvenile. She was not an adult. Now she is an adult. And so we get to look at things a little bit differently that way. But I think she had to know something. She had to know something was wrong, that something was going on. But let's see. We have a memorial still set up for Gannon at the base of the bridge where he was found. Cara, that's awesome. Okay. All right. Is there any more questions? There's a GoFundMe for Albert too. Albert did an amazing job as a witness. if you missed that, when Albert was testifying, he was the first witness, and he was on for quite a while. I think over 2 days he was up on the stand. He came across as like an investigator, a police investigator, with that level of clarity and precision in how he answered things, and his recollection of the events was just unbelievable. And I say that in a way that it was very believable. It was so good, and just his demeanor in how he answered questions on direct and on cross was exactly the same. It just came across as, this man is speaking the truth. You ask him a question, he will tell you what he knows. He'll tell you what happened, and he did that. And his memory even was correcting on cross. He was like, no, I don't remember something happening on that day. And he's like, yeah, I can prove it. He's like, no, it wasn't there. He's like, oh wait, the date was wrong. It's like, that's what I said. I don't remember it happening on that day. And there were a couple times where he caught the cross in a little bit of an error. He's trying to be so precise and exact in how he's answering. We know that he had help during the phone calls. There were times where the calls recorded between him and Letecia, where there was like an FBI, investigator with him that was, handing him Post-it notes, saying, ask about this, ask about this. But I think by the end of the calls, he was sending Post-it notes to the FBI saying, hey, we gathered this, there's this. It sounds like these guys were not like, they were very much equals as far as their ability in handling this type of investigation or interrogation over phone call, without, somebody in custody. Just amazing. I agree she had to know something. I don't know what she knows, and I'm waiting until I hear the evidence. I would hate to think that she's involved in some way. I think if she was actually involved, there may be some sort of charges, even in juvenile. I just don't know, but I haven't seen anything that way to indicate that's the case. But she may have known that something wasn't right. She went with her mom to Florida. She was in the U-Haul. Yep. So that's was she there when they pulled over and the suitcase was dumped? Did she help? I mean, did she not know what it was? At that point, there would definitely be an odor. Yeah. Let's see. I think we're about done here. Albert was awesome. Looking forward to the celebration for 2222. Thank you, RA Addict. I love it. Who is RA Addict? You guys change your names and I can't keep you straight. But I appreciate that. Thank you very much. They're doing Scott Peterson review right now. Yep. Yes, we will do her handwriting, her letters. We're going to review those as well. So we'll go through some of those documents, those that are in the file for this trial. That are released and open. Poor Haley was a minor. She was. Have you heard of that dentist that poisoned his wife in Utah? I'm interested in following that one. Yes, the dentist that poisoned his wife over time. That one's fairly new, right? That's straight out of the news headlines. I think that might be, at least 6 months to a year before that goes. Depends if he waives his right to a speedy trial. I don't think Harley was intentionally involved. T left the hotel at 3 a.m. while Harley was asleep. Okay. That makes me feel a little bit better, but at the same time, she may have known something was wrong long before that. Yeah. Check the burner. Let's see. Ivan sent me a picture in his fridge. And it may have multiple jars of spicy maple bourbon pickles, which I'm a huge fan of. RA Addict is Robert Counts. Love this group. Robert, thank you so much. Appreciate you. Thank you very much. Peterson's in my county. Tish, that's bizarre. That was a crazy one. Okay. My voice is officially shot, and I've drunk enough water that if I don't get up and take a break, the next short while of this episode will have to be sponsored by Depends, and we don't want to do that. So I will say thank you everyone who was here. It was hard to get through that. There's a ton of data that just we're gonna go through the timeline that Amber sent and see if we can sort of make sense and piece things together and draw things out of it tomorrow. It's going to be 9 a.m. in the morning. That's when we're going to start, so it should be good that way.
I'm not a camel.
I'm not a camel. Yes. Yes, big thanks to the mods who make this channel just happen, and I don't have to worry about anything. They just take care of it. I don't know where the youngest daughter was. I think possibly with Al, because the youngest daughter is Al's, is blood to Al. I'm not a cat. RA is getting a half day. Yes, we are, which means we get to play some music. Thank you all. You guys are incredible. This is the best place on the internet to watch true crime because of you guys. It would not be the same without you. Thank you so much for being here. We do this every day at 9 a.m. We're going to do this. We're going to follow this case all the way through all 8 weeks of it. Hopefully it doesn't go quite that long. But dentist poisonings in Colorado, not Utah, so 2 in Colorado. Maybe we'll have some jury questions on that one as well. Rest your voice, lemon and hot water. We've got to do something like that. Let's see. Okay, I think I've answered all the questions. Thank you, guys. It's going to be a break day. We'll give you the rest of the day off. For those that celebrate, have a happy Good Friday tomorrow. We'll be live streaming, even though it's Good Friday, because of Gannon. We'll be here supporting Gannon. So we'll be here for those who want to join me on Good Friday there. I do need a break. My voice is shot. It's shot. Okay. Tonight when you go home, please hug the people you love, smile at someone, make their day just a little bit better, and please stay safe till we go live again. We'll be 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. I realized there was a police chase late last night. I got the notification. I just don't have it in me to cover it today. Sorry about that. We'll see you tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Thanks a lot. Stay safe.